Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cailin and today I'm going to be doing the September horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. So you can watch for your sun sign, your rising sign and your moon sign. I do recommend that you watch for all three, and that is because it gives you a very well-rounded picture of what to expect for the month ahead. I'll be starting off with Aries and finishing up with Pisces, and I'll be including timestamps as soon as the live stream has aired. So before I get into Aries, I'll just let you know what I'll be covering today. So first and foremost, Uranus will be stationing retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees on the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world. On the 2nd of September, Pluto will be retrograding back into Capricorn for the final time. So we won't see this again for another 250 years. It's a very big deal. So I'll be going into detail for each sign for that transit. On the 3rd of September, we've got a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees. And also on the 3rd, we will have Mars in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces at 28 degrees. On the 5th/5th of September, the 4th/5th, depending where you live in the world, Mars will be entering the sign of Cancer, which is important because we're going to have a Mars retrograde in Leo/Cancer, which starts in December. Anyway, the Mercury post-shadow period will finally be over from the 13th of September. So you may be experiencing some retrogradisms for the first couple weeks of September. I myself forgot to turn the mic on as soon as I started the live. So, there we have it. And then lastly, we'll be finishing up with the full moon eclipse in Pisces. So without further ado, let's start off with Aries. Okay, so this is for Aries, rising, suns, and moons. Again, I do recommend that you watch for all of your big three. All right, so first and foremost, Aries, we've got Uranus stationing retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your second house. This doesn't make any major aspect to you, but you may just have a couple of hiccups when it comes to finances and resources. Maybe this is like payments that aren't going through. You may have to pay an amount for something or other that you weren't expecting. So maybe you were given an invoice for an amount that you now have to query. There may be abrupt changes to your diet that just come about because for health reasons, or perhaps you've just decided to do a 180 on your existing food preferences and diet preferences. Again, not a big one to note, but that's today, by the way, 1st of September, 1st or 2nd, depending where you live in the world. So moving along, on the 2nd of September, Pluto is going to retrograde back into Capricorn in your 10th house. So Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. It did make its first foray into Aquarius last year. So this is the last wibble wobble before it's full steam ahead in Aquarius. And this is squaring you, Aries. More so Aries in the latter degrees. So the ones who will feel it the most would be, 26, 27, 28, 29 degrees Aries, sun, moon, and risings. But nevertheless, it's squaring your sign. So it is something to note. Now, 29 degrees is the anaretic degree. So Pluto will not move off of 29 degrees, as in it won't retrograde any further. It'll just go back into Aquarius on the 19th or 20th of November, depending where you live in the world. So 29 degrees is the critical degree. It's the anaretic degree. And this is occurring in your 10th house. So somehow there is one last push from you, or one final challenge, or a closing out of a chapter that is related to your public persona, your career, your worldly responsibilities. And you may be looking to complete some kind of project or career milestone that contributes to your legacy. For some of you Aries, you may be looking at a complete industry change, like going full throttle into being self-employed. For others of you, you may be changing industries, or you may be coming out of retirement, and maybe this is just for 2.5 to 3 months. Even if it's longer than that, in some way, shape, or form, there's like a life-changing decision or transition that you're experiencing, that you will be experiencing, that is related to your status in the world. It doesn't necessarily need to be related to career. This could even be related to your personal relationships, okay? So maybe this is related to entering into a marriage, separating, filing for divorce, officially becoming divorced. You may be challenging some form of authority or higher figure. And for others of you, you could be on the precipice of receiving enormous success. So this is something that is, you've basically been working really hard at this, and maybe you're looking to receive the public recognition that you deserve. It could even be work that you've done over the last 15 years, and now it's being recycled or perhaps going viral somehow. In any case, it seems like you are really closing out some huge chapter in your life, even if it's not related to a work status change, a relationship status change. Maybe you can just personally feel that you're moving into a new era of your life, and you're formally closing out this previous stage that you've been working on or experiencing since 2008. Okay, so on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo, and this will be taking place at 11 degrees in your 6th house. So the 6th house is related to your health, your daily habits, routines, pets, as well as employees. It does rule over things like loans, debts, mortgages, and the 6th house is all about the tedium, the minutiae. So with a new moon in your 6th house, you may be setting new goals or planting new seeds when it comes to having a healthier work-life balance, or just starting up some kind of new health regime. For others of you, you may be starting a new job, or maybe you're adding a new dynamic or new responsibilities and tasks to your existing job that you do. Some of you may be getting a new pet, whether that is fostering, adopting, taking on someone else's pet. Maybe you just find like a stray cat, or you take in an animal, or perhaps you could be making preparations to welcome a new pet into your life. The 6th house is very much connected to health. So even if you're not taking up your own new health habits and routines, you may be studying something to do with health, especially because this new moon is squaring Jupiter in Gemini. And for others of you, you may be coming across a new healing modality that you want to try. And because the new moon's at 11 degrees, this could be very advanced or very avant-garde. Maybe it involves some kind of out there healing techniques, or it's an out there progressive healing modality. Okay, so having a new moon in the 6th house, which we all experience at least once annually, if not twice, that'll be sort of the maximum that you would have a new moon in the same house. It's a very productive time, is what I mean to say. And you may be cleaning up issues that you've been experiencing since, perhaps August. And I say that because we had the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, which went back into into Leo, and so now we've got a new moon in Virgo. So it's like we're cleaning up issues that we've had for the last couple of months. In any case, it's a very productive time. It's a great time to set new goals, plant the seeds for what you want to achieve in relation to health, daily habits, work, and even just, life admin as well. Now, on the 3rd of September, we're also going to have Mars in Gemini square Neptune in Pisces, and this will be at 28 degrees. Okay, so Mars is in Gemini in your 3rd house, Neptune is in Pisces in your 12th house. It is a bit of a tricky transit, just, generally speaking. We experience it about once every 9 or 10 months. In terms of how it plays out, depends, whether these planets are in your sign and what house they're in. In any case, we can say that it's a challenging moment, or there's a bit of friction, let's say, between one's thoughts and their mind, which is Gemini, versus their emotions and intuition, which would be Neptune. With Mars in Gemini in the 3rd house, this could be the relationship between, having tension and arguments with others, namely siblings, neighbors, friends and colleagues, versus healing and forgiveness, really embracing these Neptunian themes. In any case, you may experience a restless mind around the new moon, okay? So around the 3rd of September. So there may be, you may experience difficulties when it comes to making decisions, and just note that because of the square to Neptune, this restlessness, this potential, indecision or analysis paralysis could be influenced by substances, medication, or hormones, because Neptune rules over all of those things. I would just say, please guard against having accidents when it comes to your computers, your computer, laptop, work, any kind of, digital material or even written material. The risk here is water damage, literally just spilling a glass of something across your laptop. Guilty, been there, done that. But the, let's say, the more extreme version of a Mars-Neptune square from the 3rd to the 12th house could be cyber hacking. So maybe you just want to look at protecting your passwords and, any kind of private information over the next few days. Again, this is on the 3rd of September. And Mars is your chart ruler, so you are likely to feel this more than other signs, with the exception of Scorpio and Neptune. Scorpio being ruled by Mars and, Pisces being ruled by Neptune. Now, on the 4th/5th of September, Mars is going to enter the sign of Cancer, and that means it'll be transiting your 4th house. All right, so as I mentioned in the introduction, it is noteworthy because Mars will be going retrograde in Leo and Cancer over, December, January, February. In fact, it'll be retrograde in Cancer from January. So it's not the official pre-shadow period, but just take a note of what you are diverting your attention to or focusing on from the 4th or the 5th, because that'll really show you what themes you'll be focusing on when we do experience the Mars retrograde over the Christmas break. So with Mars being your chart ruler, whatever sign it enters, whatever house it's in, this is where you, Aries specifically, are focusing your attention and your energy. So with Mars being in the 4th house, there's a strong focus on your property and living circumstances. So this can play out as you wanting to renovate your place, fix up issues around the house. You may be working on something around your property which requires tools or heavy machinery. You may be putting effort into buying, selling, or relocating. Worst case scenario with Mars in Cancer on the home and property front would be accidents around the home and accidents when you do use, let's say, tools and heavy machinery, especially inside the house or out in the garden, you know, in the shed, in the garage as well. So please be careful. Also, you may want to put provisions in place when it comes to home security, you know, just updating security surveillance if that's something you're interested in, and, you know, keeping cars locked, vehicles in check, and all that sort of thing. And by the way, Mars takes 2.5 years or something like that to go through all 12 signs. So it's not like this is an uncommon transit, but it's worth mentioning all of these things, I think. Mars going through the 4th house can indicate disagreements and tension with family. Just remember, Mars is your ruling planet. So, you know, this could be you stirring the pot or you starting up these arguments, or perhaps you're the one who's feeling triggered by other family members. So what I'm saying here is that it's more of a challenge for you to remain grounded and not be triggered, or not, you know, let your temper out. But sometimes family tests us, so what can I say? For others of you, the 4th house, Mars through the 4th house could play out as you really trying to overcome some kind of emotional challenge. Or you could be working on a project with family members. You could be doing some digging into your ancestry and your lineage. That's another way that could be playing out. And maybe you're putting a lot of physical energy and effort into helping your family, whether this is your partner, your children, or your parents, or even your grandparents. Lastly, for the month Aries, there will be a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees, and this will be taking place in your 12th house. So this is a full moon lunar eclipse that involves the North Node. It is a hybrid eclipse, which means that the eclipse is in Pisces, but the North Node is not in Pisces, right? So there's a bit of a disconnect there because the North Node is still in your sign, which is in Aries. In any case, the 12th house rules over creativity, seeking retreat and respite. It's very connected to healing. The 12th house is associated with photography, filmography, anything to do with creative writing and fantasy. The lower vibration of the 12th house would be self-sabotage, martyrdom, victimhood, and also things like espionage and escapism and substance abuse. With this full moon eclipse taking place in Libra, there is divine support here because it is conjunct Neptune, and the moon and Neptune are both sextiling Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn and Uranus at 27 degrees Taurus. So in my book, there's some sort of divine protection or divine intervention here at play, and you may find that you are closing out a chapter or you're reaching some kind of conclusion when it comes to these aforementioned topics. As an example, some of you may be finishing up a creative project. Maybe this is to do with acting, filmography, maybe dance, creative writing. On a different note, some of you may successfully be overcoming challenges with an addiction or substance abuse. Or perhaps some of you are just having like a spiritual awakening, or perhaps you receive some clarity through an esoteric or occult reading that you receive. Maybe that's like past life regression, mediumship, tarot, and so on and so forth. And lastly, some of you may be receiving some much needed charity help and support, which, you know, you're not doing anything for this. Someone is just offering something to you out of the goodness of their heart, which is very much needed for you, which would be amazing if that's the case. So Aries, thank you so much for watching your September horoscope. If you enjoyed this reading, please give the video a like and and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content. And I'll be back with my October horoscopes, which will be focusing on the new moon eclipse in Libra in your 7th house, which highly activates your relationship sector. Taurus, sun, moon, and risings. The month starts off with Uranus stationing retrograde at 27 degrees in your 1st house. So the Taurians who will be the most affected would be those around 23 to 24 degrees through till 29 degrees, which is my sun sign. I'm a 29 degree Taurus. So, Uranus goes retrograde every year for about 5 months. Is it a big deal? Not really. Is it worth mentioning? Yeah, because, Uranus is in our sign. So the way that this can play out is that you may have sudden downloads of information that come through and ideas that come back to you. Because it's retrograde, this is something that is already in your sphere of awareness. Maybe there's something that you've wanted to try your hand at, but you haven't really been sure about how to do that. And then this retrograde at 27 degrees can help deliver the answers to a dilemma or a problem or something that you just haven't been able to work through. On a different note, an opportunity could come out of the blue. Maybe you were already aware of this, or you had been trying to manifest this or call this into your life, and now finally it's coming back up for you to, I guess, take that opportunity up if you're wanting to. If you are a Taurus sun like myself, this could be relating to career choices. So maybe an industry change, exploring something new, maybe looking at retirement, coming out of retirement, or achieving some kind of big work milestone. If you're Taurus moon, especially at these later degrees, these latter degrees, guys, so again, 23 to 29 degrees, this Uranus retrograde could be relating to your property and living circumstances, or something to do with your family and home life. If you're a Taurus rising, this could be related to your life path, the trajectory that you're on, and you just figuring out how you want to show up in the world and what you want to be known for as well, given that Uranus rules over your 10th house, which is to do with public recognition and the legacy that you want to leave behind. Okay, so moving on the 2nd of September, Pluto will station retrograde. Sorry, not station retrograde. Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn at 29 degrees. So it will be retrograde in your 9th house until the 19th or 20th of November. And this is for the very last time in our lifetimes. Again, this will affect Taurians who are at those latter degrees the most. So I would say, 25 to 29 degrees. Again, this is me. 29 degrees is the anaretic degree, so it can present some kind of challenge, one last push. It's closing out a chapter with finality. In any case, Pluto is trining the sign of Taurus because Capricorn is Earth and Taurus is an Earth sign too. So this could be related to travel, education, legal matters, foreign affairs, and even just your belief systems in general. So on a legal front, something may be coming up for a final time for you. So maybe this is to do with a court case, legal matters, just, putting something to bed once and for all. It doesn't need to be in a quote unquote difficult way. It could just be that you are tying up loose ends which relate to a legal matter, and it may take you the full 2.5+ months. So again, start of September through till late November, around the 19th, 20th. On a different note, you may be deciding what you want for yourself in terms of your vision for your life. You know, it could be that you have really wanted to make something a possibility, whether this is to do with education, travel, what you believe you should be doing. Maybe it's to do with, you know, relationships as well, because Pluto rules over your 7th house. And this could be like what you want with your partner. What kind of life? Do you want to live abroad? Do you want to get engaged? Do you want to get married? If you're already in a committed relationship, maybe there's some kind of, you know, emotional crisis that's taking place where you're trying to figure out if you're in or if you're out. Do I want to be committed to this, or, you know, do I want to go my separate ways, a separate way from this person? On a different note, you may be required to travel overseas, and this could be related to education. This could be related to, you know, trying to resolve some kind of foreign affair. So, for example, it could be to do with permanent residency or citizenship, or maybe some kind of pilgrimage. So you could be traveling for religious or spiritual purposes. On a different note, you may face some kind of moral dilemma during this time. And for others of you, this could be a really pivotal moment where you're completing something with respect to your education, whether this is you receiving the education or giving someone, or being the educator, I should say. Moving along, on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees. So this will be taking place in your 5th house. So a new moon in Virgo would be trining you as a Taurus sun, moon, or rising. And new moons are about starting something new, planting the new seed, or setting new goals with respect to whatever house it is in. So the 5th house rules over love, romance, children, owning your own business, as well as, you know, your creative hobbies and talents. And so a new moon in the 5th house is actually great for starting new businesses, launching new products, trying to take your business in a new direction or an exciting direction. On a different note, this could indicate new love and romance entering your life, or perhaps a new approach to your love life, to your dating life. This could indicate reinvigorating, let's say reigniting the spark in your relationship. And because the 5th house rules over children, on one hand, this can indicate your planning or your desire to start a family or to expand your family. On a different note, though, a new moon in the 5th house can indicate a new chapter that's taking place in the life of one of your children. More so the firstborn, but hey, the 5th house rules over all children as it is. Second-born child would be the 7th house, third-born would be the 9th house, and so on and so forth. For others of you, this is just exploring a new creative hobby, a new passion. I myself, as a Taurus sun, can see how this would be playing out for me as pursuing, new hobbies, something that I've been interested in for a long time, and that may be the case for you as well. I say that because although this is a new moon in Virgo, we have had Mercury retrograde in Virgo from August, all right? So maybe this is you pursuing something new, but that you've wanted to for a while, or just taking that in a different direction. Also on the 3rd of September, we will have Mars in Gemini in your 2nd house, squaring Neptune in Pisces at 28 degrees. Neptune in Pisces is in your 11th house. So in a nutshell, when we have Mars square Neptune, it's really a challenge, some friction, or a battle between our mind and our emotion, our thoughts and our intuition. And, Mars in Gemini can be the desire to act quick, make decisions quickly. But the square to Neptune in Pisces is like, well, I don't know what direction to go. Or perhaps it's related to, your desire to move in a certain direction, or perhaps even indecision being the result of hormones being out of balance, or perhaps substances that you're on, whether that's, recreational drugs or some kind of medication, or even just heightened emotions for one reason or another. So, is it a good time to make really big life-changing decisions when we have Mars square Neptune? No. But, you may just find that you're in that position and that it's unavoidable. Because the second house rules over our finances, resources, personal valuables and possessions, as well as food, these topics may be coming up for you. And then the square to the 11th house is all about your long-term goals, long-term planning and investments, passive forms of income, as well as, communities and friendships. So maybe there's some kind of disconnect between these two areas of your life. And just as an example of how that could play out, maybe someone in your community or a friend of yours is trying to provide support or share their views which go against yours, especially on topics like finances, resources, diet, food, and so on and so forth. So, those are a few different themes that could be coming up for you around the 3rd of September. On the 4th/5th of September, Mars will enter Cancer in your 3rd house. And we're going to have a Mars retrograde in Leo/Cancer, which will be taking place December, January, and February. So we're not officially in the pre-shadow period, but it would be interesting for you to just take note. Hey, what's coming up for me the month of September from, the 4th or the 5th onwards, because these are themes that you're likely to be focused on over the Christmas break. With Mars in the 3rd house, this indicates a strong focus on writing and communication, so content creation, websites, social media, website design, sales, marketing, if I didn't say that already. The 3rd house is also related to short-term travel, and the 3rd house rules over qualifications, certifications, and let's just say education, but in terms of like short courses, or online courses, working in small groups of people. And the 3rd house also rules over siblings, extended relatives, friends, co-workers, clients, and neighbors. So Mars in the 3rd house can indicate a bit of friction with these individuals, maybe a bit of tension, maybe, I dare say arguments, but just know that Mars going through the 3rd house, if you want to tap into the higher manifestation of that, or the more positive manifestation of that, I would recommend working in small groups, whether this is like working out, which is Mars, doing something competitive, trying to help each other improve. On a different note, great time to take up running. Mars in the 3rd house can indicate that you're working really hard on content creation, written communication pieces, and really upping your game when it comes to, let's say, social media, website design, sales and marketing, and so on and so forth. Lastly, Taurus, on the 18th of September, we'll have a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees in your 11th house. So in terms of aspects, this would be sextiling Taurus sun, moon, and risings. The Taurians who would feel it the most would be the last decan. Okay, so from about 20 degrees to about 29 degrees Taurus. Bingo, especially if you're 25 degrees. In any case, the 11th house rules over passive forms of income, investors, benefactors, one's community. The 11th house rules over long-term goals and dreams, as well as, let's say, one's online presence. Yes, the 3rd house is also connected to that too. Sometimes there's overlap between different houses. In any case though, a full moon eclipse is all about closing out a cycle or a chapter, something coming to completion or fruition. There's a lot of beautiful divine support with this full moon eclipse because it's the moon's conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees, and both the moon and Neptune are sextiling Pluto in Capricorn and sextiling Uranus in Taurus. And of course, Pluto and Uranus are trining each other. So the three outer planets are all in beautiful, harmonious aspect to one another, which to me indicates that there's some kind of, again, divine otherworldly support at play. Not to mention the full moon eclipse is at 25 degrees, which is the Aries degree. So there's something new that's coming through. And this lunar eclipse, this full moon eclipse is with the North Node. So, you know, the full moon the full moon influence indicates it's something that we're aware of, something that's already been in the works. But with it being with the North Node, it's giving us something, it's delivering us something. And, you know, the 11th house rules over awards, rewards, accolades, and so on and so forth. So perhaps you are receiving some kind of positive payoff for hard work that you've been doing. So Taurus, that's all I have for you for this month. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a like. If you want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be moving on to Gemini in just a moment. Now we are, keep doing this the wrong way. Now we're on to Gemini. Gemini sun, moon, and risings. I myself am a Gemini rising, so I just like to mention it for solidarity. Again, I recommend that you watch your horoscope for your rising, your sun, and your moon sign, just to give you a really good idea of what to expect for the month ahead. The sun sign relates to career and life purpose. The moon sign relates to emotional world, property, living circumstances, and family life. And your rising sign, also known as your ascendant sign, covers the full gamut and, generally speaking, is the most accurate overall. So Gemini, on the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Uranus is going to station retrograde at 27 degrees in your 12th house. It's not making a major aspect to you. Uranus doesn't rule you, so you know it's not something that you'll necessarily feel in a big way, especially because this is in your 12th house. But I would say probably have disturbed sleep or like weird dreams for the next 2 or 3 days. So from about the 1st to the 3rd of September, you know, you may just feel a bit restless at night, a bit hard to unwind. You may receive exciting ideas or downloads of information while you're asleep. And for others of you, you could have some major success in overcoming some kind of substance addiction, or you know, a vice that you want to give up. And lastly, with Uranus being retrograde in the 12th house, this can indicate that you may have some kind of creative inspiration or breakthrough when it comes to something you have been intending to work on for a while, but you just haven't known which way to move forward. And maybe this can come through as a result of visions in your sleep, meditation, yoga, or just, you know, chilling out and doing something creative. Now, on the 2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Pluto is going to retrograde back into the sign of Capricorn, and this will be in your 8th house. It'll be retrograde until the 19th/20th of November, depending where you live in the world. 29 degrees is the anaretic degree. What I have noticed about this in my own personal life is that anytime a planet gets to 29 degrees, even if it's literally just Mercury or Venus, these days usually, or these times usually end up being a bit more challenging, or there's some kind of peak when it comes to whatever that planet rules over. And that's why, you know, people have been experiencing a state of, let's say, limbo or confusion, because Neptune has been on 29 degrees for a month or 2 months now. I don't know exactly how long, but long story long, Pluto being retrograde at 29 degrees specifically and being the slowest moving planet indicates that there is some kind of major chapter that you're trying to close out. Because this is in your 8th house or in our 8th house, this is related to overcoming insecurities, removing blockages, letting go of things that no longer serve us, overcoming issues when it comes to, let's say, being emotionally vulnerable, or perhaps sexual intimacy. On a different note, the 8th house rules over the occult, esoteric matters, as well as, you know, conspiracy theories and mutual resources. So you may be doing a deep dive into these areas with your mutual resources. You know, this can go, well, when I say one of two ways, obviously can go other ways as well, but it's like two sides of the same coin. You may be finally working to separate your resources from another person's, and maybe you've been involved with them for a long time, or it's just been a real struggle for you to just become financially independent from this person, whether this is like you don't owe them anymore, they don't owe you anymore. On a different note though, this can indicate that you're overcoming fears with respect to letting someone in. So maybe you're going to be combining your resources with another person, and this will be in a very solid, long-lasting way that benefits the both of you. Okay, so in any case, I do think that old fears and insecurities will be bubbling up to the surface for one last hurrah. So this could be a time where you work with some kind of healer or healing modality to really put these to bed once and for all. On the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees, and this is going to be in your 4th house. So it's squaring Geminis. The Geminis who will be the most affected would be those between about 6 degrees and 16 degrees. In any case, the 4th house is related to property, land, whoever it is that you live with, right? Whether that's family, friends, you know, maybe you're subletting your place, whatever. The 4th house rules over our family life as it is, as well as our ancestry and lineage. So a new moon in the 4th house indicates that there are new goals being set, new intentions being laid, new seeds being planted with respect to one or more of those areas of your life. This new moon is opposing Saturn in Pisces in your 10th house at 16 degrees, and it's making a sort of wide T-square to Jupiter in Gemini, which is at 20 degrees in your 1st house. So yeah, to be fair, Gemini is around 20-ish degrees will also be affected, I do think. In any case, this can play out as you deciding that you want to buy, sell, relocate, build as well, especially because the new moon is opposing Saturn. On a different note, this can be related to what you do with your property and your land. So yes, you could be building with respect to the house or the house pad itself, or maybe you want to, let's say, work towards working from home or setting something up at your home. It could be anything related to property, but it carries the element of newness with it. Now, whatever it is that you're starting around this time, or whatever ideas are coming through at this time, they could take a long time to play out because of that opposition to Saturn. If I were to put a time frame on it, you know, you may be looking at results in 6 months or 18 months time, which would be the first full moon in Virgo and the subsequent full moon in Virgo, or maybe even once Saturn is finished in Pisces, which would be February 2026. Now, you could be looking to move in with someone else or have someone move in with you. This could be about establishing boundaries with a family member, or you could be looking at ways to set up more support for your family, or perhaps even looking to start a family. That's another way that it could be playing out. And lastly, you may be doing a bit of a deep dive into your ancestry and lineage. On the 3rd of September, Mars in Gemini in your first house will square Neptune in Pisces in your 10th house at 28 degrees. I was very shocked to see that this is exactly on my ascendant. When I started looking at this transit, I was like, oh, no. Last time, actually no, I won't go off the deep end into personal anecdotes. Stay on track. So Gemini rules over the thoughts and our mind, our mindset, and Neptune rules over our emotions and our intuition. So there is some kind of friction or perhaps challenge that is arising around the 3rd of September, plus or minus a couple of days, so maybe even from now. And, this could be related to your personal life, your personal preferences, your appearance, how you want to show up in the world versus how you want to be perceived with respect to your legacy, your public persona, your public profile, and so on and so forth. Because the 10th house is like your reputation. What are you doing with work, career? How do people know you? what's your resume say? And then the first house is like, well, this is how I live my life every day. This is how I speak, sound, dress, look, and so on and so forth. So there may be a little bit of a disconnect here where your intuition and your emotions are really, really wanting to push you in one direction or lead you in one direction. And, the conclusions that you're drawing consciously upstairs with your mind are leading you in a totally different direction. So this can lead to analysis paralysis, difficulty making decisions. And on a different note, I would just say watch for whatever inner conflict is arising, and if it's being influenced perhaps by your hormones, substances, or any medications that you are on. In my personal opinion, it is best to avoid making life-changing decisions when we have a Mars-Neptune square, but sometimes the nature of that transit can usher us or sort of push us in that direction anyway. So, my advice over the next 3 or so days would be just take it easy. Don't try to push yourself too hard. Don't take on too much in terms of workload. If you can defer making important decisions, do, but also remember that this is a general reading. And just a note that you may be easily triggered around this time emotionally in terms of anger, wanting to argue with friends or siblings or relatives because Mars is in Gemini. Okay, so if you can lean into healing and forgiveness and, just having more rest, I would advise that you do that. And I would advise myself to do that too. This is just a public reminder, Cailin, for later. Now, on the 4th/5th of September, Mars is going to enter the sign of Cancer in your 2nd house. Later this year, we're going to have a Mars retrograde in Leo/Cancer, which will be December and then January, February in 2025. So whatever themes are coming up for you from the 4th or 5th of September onwards, you may want to take note because you will revisit these later this year, if not early next year. So Mars in your 2nd house indicates big focus on finances, an initiative to earn more money, generate a higher income, but there may be more expenses. When Mars goes through the 2nd house, boom, we're just burning through cashola. So just be mindful that you may want to watch out for leakages. Where can you save your pennies and not spend so much? On a different note, Mars through the 2nd house can indicate that you are purging possessions, getting rid of them, This can indicate some kind of accident befalling certain possessions and valuables, as well as another way that could play out would be theft. So again, this is my second house. I'm not really worried. You know, Mars goes through the second house every 2 and a bit years, but just be mindful of these things. Be mindful of damage to your possessions. Be mindful of, you know, people pinching something of yours. So just don't leave it unattended if you can avoid it. This can indicate you being cutthroat with your wardrobe. This has got to go. This has holes in it. You know, I don't even wear this anymore. So I can really see you downsizing your wardrobe and downsizing your possessions and valuables. The second house rules over diet. So this can see you being very gung-ho when it comes to what you're eating. And certainly Mars is about cutting things out. So this is maybe cutting out or cutting down on sugar, alcohol, you know, gluten, whatever it is for you. Some of you may find that you are required to make serious changes to your diet, and this could be for health reasons. For others of you, this is self-generated in terms of your own volition. You know, you're just taking this upon yourself. Now, the second house rules over the lower half of our face as well as our teeth. So be proactive with your teeth. If you haven't seen a dentist in a while, go see your dentist. If you have a small toothache now, go see your dentist. Get that taken care of. If you have any concerns for this whole region, all right, the second house rules over the thyroid, the throat, the glands, the tongue, the mouth, blah, blah, blah. So you are at risk of infection here, or some kind of, you know, flare up or allergy or whatnot. So just be very careful when it comes to these parts of the body. And again, you may just want to be proactive. Maybe you are having blood work done, or maybe you're having some kind of allergy testing thing done to see, you know, why you're experiencing certain things in your body. So I think I've said enough on the second house with Mars and Cancer there. Lastly, for the month Taurus, on the 18th, there will be a full moon a full moon eclipse, so a lunar eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees, and this is in your 10th house. So the 10th house is our public status, our public reputation. Anytime we have eclipses here or significant transits here, this is when big life events start to be reflected outwardly. What do I mean by that? If a person has a significant change in work or relationship status, there has to be an activation to the midheaven. Okay, so you want to check for if your midheaven is in Pisces, because it might be something different. For example, I'm a Gemini rising, my midheaven is in Aries. You can only find out your midheaven by looking at your rising sign, which must be accurate. I digress. In saying all of this, this full moon eclipse is still squaring you as a Gemini sun, moon, or rising. The Geminis who will be affected the most would be 20 through till 29 degrees. You know, super bingo card for if you are a 25 degree Gemini rising or 25 degree Gemini. In any case, this full moon eclipse has a lot of outer planet support. And what I mean by that is that the full moon eclipse is conjunct Neptune, and both are making, so both the moon, so the eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees and Neptune at 28 degrees are making beautiful harmonious aspects to Pluto in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus. So the outer planets are providing a lot of divine support, divine intervention. Whatever happens around the 18th of September, plus or minus, 2, if not even 4 weeks, it's divinely inspired, divinely guided. It is meant to happen. Maybe there may be some delays involved to something that you were hoping would take off sooner, thanks to the full moon eclipse being conjunct Saturn. But if that's the case, it's just what's meant to be. Some of you may find that you are reaching a work, career, or professional milestone. This could be the completion of an important project, achieving a promotion, walking away from a job. Okay, so even if this is the end of your work with a company, a business, or even a collaboration with another person, it's just what's meant to be. And just know that with this full moon eclipse being with the North Node, it is giving you something. You know, if something leaves your life, something else will be given with the North Node, even though the North Node is in Aries. So some of you may be making a relationship public knowledge, so relationship status change. So it could be a new relationship that you're announcing. You could be getting engaged, you could be getting married. If you are going through a breakup or a separation and you have kept this on the DL, you may be announcing this publicly. And for others of you, maybe you've been working in a private maybe you've been collaborating with another person and you're launching something around the time of the eclipse, so around the 18th of September. Or perhaps you and a business partner or you and a client are going your separate ways, and you're having this now be reflected in terms of your public life on a totally different note. Okay, so aside from work, aside from relationships, it could be that with this eclipse, you are just presenting in a totally different way. So maybe you yourself have undergone some significant changes, whether this is to do with, your personal life, physical appearance, what you believe in, what you want for the rest of your life, and how that translates to the legacy that you leave behind and the life path that you're on. And somehow this is, coming out to be public knowledge. Again, around the 18th of September, plus or minus about a month. So Gemini, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I will be back with my October horoscopes next month, so make sure you tune in for those. I'm going to move on to Cancer in just a moment, but just let me have a little tea break first. Again, if you want to know which sign I'm up to, I keep pointing the wrong way, you can just check here in the bottom left, sorry, for you, that'll be the bottom right hand side of the screen. So, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your 2024 horoscope. The month starts off with Uranus stationing retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 11th house. This will be sextiling you. So the Cancerians who will feel this the most would be those between about 23 degrees to 29 degrees. In any case, every year Uranus goes retrograde for about 5.5 months. It's not a big deal, but I thought I would mention it because it's happening today as I'm filming. So with Uranus retrograde in the 11th house, this can indicate that around this time, so around the beginning of the month, there may be some unexpected changes that come up with your friendship group, with a community that you're part of. You may be pivoting or adapting your plan when it comes to long-term goals and dreams that you have. This can indicate that there may be changes to your passive forms of income. You may reconnect with someone from your wider network or community, or you may be moving ahead with a collaboration with another person that was on the table a while ago, maybe a few months ago or even last year, and now it's like, hey, we can move forward with this. On a different note, you may decide that you sort of want to cut ties with a friend or someone that you associate with in your wider network, and maybe this comes up very unexpectedly. So yeah, there may be certain connections that just go offline or come back offline around the 1st, 2nd, or even 3rd of September. On the 2nd of September, Pluto will retrograde from Aquarius, 0 degrees, back into Capricorn at 29 degrees. So this will be in your 7th house, and Pluto will be in Capricorn at 29 degrees. It'll move back into Aquarius on the 19th/20th of November. So this is really the last time in our lifetime that we will experience Pluto in Capricorn, because after it goes into Aquarius, it's full steam for the next 22 years. And for you Cancerians, this has been huge to have Pluto in your 7th house, which rules over partnerships, marriages, relationships, your one-to-one connections. The 7th house rules over vows, oaths, promises that we make, our obligations that we have to other people, and contracts. So from the beginning-ish of September, so the 2nd of September, through till the 19th or the 20th of November, you're closing out something major. Now, this could be a relationship, a marriage, a divorce could finally be coming through, or a separation could finally be going ahead. Or you could be overcoming a major obstacle in your relationship or in your marriage that has been around for years, maybe even since 2008, which is when Pluto first went into the sign of Cancer. So you could be overcoming these challenges. I actually know quite a few Cancers who have not been in a relationship since 2008, or maybe they had a breakdown of a relationship sometime between 2008 and now, and they just haven't met someone else or haven't been ready to move into a relationship. So my good news for you single Cancers who are looking for love and romance, once Pluto is done with your 7th house forever in your lifetime, this is the green light for you to move ahead, find love, long-lasting love. I just got really emotional when I said that. I've got a lot of stuff in Cancer myself, so I think that this message is going to hit hard for a lot of people. This is really overcoming monumental relationship issues, whether you're with someone or not. Maybe there's been hang-ups, or maybe you just haven't been able to bring yourself to, connect with someone else romantically or even sexually because of something that's been holding you back. And once you overcome this over the next 2.5, nearly 3 months, it'll just be a massive breath of fresh air for you Cancerians. On a different note, and not related to romantic relationships and marriages, some of you may finally be closing out a legal matter or a court case. Maybe you're appealing something for the last time and it's finally going to be put to bed. On a different note, you could be walking away from a business partner or a collaboration which has been long standing, and it doesn't need to go out with a crash bang, guys. It could just be like, hey, we've decided on this together, we're ready to move on and both enter new chapters in our lives, but no longer together, no longer working together. For others of you, you may have made a promise to someone. There may be some kind of obligation or duty or responsibility that you have been, let's say, participating in. And, after the 19th, 20th of November, it's like, hey, my job is done. My duties are fulfilled. And maybe this is alimony money. Maybe this is child support. Maybe this has just been you helping another person, and this is just drawing to a close now. Okay, on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo in your 3rd house. So this will be sextiling you as well. Why did I say as well? Oh, because Uranus is sextiling you. I digress. Oh, cool. Now I've lost my spot. All right. So the new moon is occurring in your 3rd house. So this can be a new chapter that's taking place, new ideas. Look, I love a new moon in the 3rd house because it's great for writing, communications, content creation. It's great for sales ideas, marketing, website design, learning new things, starting new courses, like short education courses. applying for an apprenticeship, a qualification, or a diploma, or some kind of certification. There also may be plans that you're making for short-term travel around the 3rd of November. So why do I keep saying November? The 3rd of September. And maybe you just are traveling around this time. So there may be some kind of excursion or short trip that you are taking. So yeah, guys, it's also a time where you could be forming a new group. So a new friendship group, so banding together with a small group of people, or you're learning in a small group. So you could be starting some kind of education course around this time, and it's, just there's not too many people. Let's just see. A new moon in the 3rd house can indicate there being new neighbors who are entering your life, or getting to know your neighbors. Or planning something fun with a friend. It's another way that could play out. Also on the 3rd of September, we're going to have Mars in Gemini in your 12th house, squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 9th house. So, as I've mentioned for the other signs, Mars in Gemini indicates a restless mind, maybe difficulty making decisions, being pulled in multiple different directions. Gemini rules over the mind and our thoughts as it is. And then Neptune rules over emotions and intuition, as well as healing and forgiveness. But Neptune can also indicate substances, medication, and our hormones. So there's some kind of disconnect, there's some kind of potential challenge or friction here, because Neptune is trining you. That does add a little more support with connecting to your intuition. But Mars in Gemini in your 12th house can just indicate that you may be having intrusive thoughts, obsessive thoughts, difficulty relaxing at night, difficulty meditating or getting to sleep. And, things that you thought you were over, things you thought that were healed and forgiven with other people may kind of be bubbling up to the surface for you. Not even the surface, but it's like swimming around in your subconscious, actually, because it's in the 12th house, but somehow it's leaking into your daily awareness. So again, this is the 3rd of September. I would just be careful when it comes to, substances, alcohol, medication, etc. Not letting your emotions or hormones getting the better of you, and maybe just also acknowledging that if you are experiencing a restless mind or analysis paralysis or just angry intrusive thoughts, that it may be fueled by those things. So just because it's a fear doesn't mean it's going to come to pass. So don't allow fear to have a grip hold over you over these next few days. Okay, just a moment, guys. Gotta hydrate. Oh, that is so good. My favorite. Alrighty. On the 4th/5th of September, Mars is going to enter Cancer. So it's going to be transiting your 1st house. It's not the official pre-shadow period, but please take note of what is coming up for you around September, especially from the 4th or 5th onwards, because we will have a Mars retrograde in Leo/Cancer in December and then January, February 2025. Mars in the 1st house. Pros: more goal-oriented, more energy, more initiative, and you can find that you have better problem-solving abilities, that you have more energy to work out. You may be working on physically transforming your body, whether this is developing more muscle, Mars rules over muscle, or losing fat. On a different note, Mars in the 1st house can see you, with it ruling over the 10th house, being very, very determined to achieve some kind of work milestone, some kind of career objective, to create something that's going to contribute to the legacy that you want to leave behind. The downside of Mars being in the 1st house can indicate being more accident prone, experiencing inflammation. So this could be like rashes, especially around the head. On a different note, this can indicate a time where you're just more argumentative, more easily triggered, just easier to like get riled, become a little more agitated than you normally would. So your patience could be very, very tested at this time. And what else? Mars in the first house. Just be careful when it comes to operating any kind of tools, machinery, and so on and so forth. But, you know, Mars in the first house really will just give you a lot of pep and a lot of drive, and you can really step into a position of leadership and stand up for yourself, stand up for what you believe in, which is very hard to do. You know, for Cancerians, I also have Mars in Cancer and I have Mars in the first house. So like, this is my life. Everything I'm just describing, I just live with this. So yeah, it will be a very transformative time for you physically. If you're wanting that, you can really take ownership of your health and push your body to the limit in terms of, let's say, physicality, whether this is like running, like I said, developing muscle mass, becoming more toned, and we're just achieving some kind of physical transformation. All right, so lastly for the month Cancer, on the 18th of September, we will have a full moon eclipse, and it will be in Pisces at 25 degrees, and it will be in your 9th house. So it will be trining you. It's very harmonious aspects for Cancers, which we love to see. So the Cancers who will be the most affected would be those between about 20 degrees and 29 degrees. You know, full points if you're a 25 degree Cancer sun, moon, or rising. In any case, eclipses, especially lunar eclipses, are about something coming to completion, something coming to a close. And this full moon eclipse is with the North Node, even though the North Node is in Aries, which makes it a hybrid eclipse. And what that means is that as you experience some kind of peak or chapter coming to a close in your life, you're receiving something for your efforts. And as I mentioned for the other signs, this eclipse, fortunately, has a lot of support from the outer planets. It is conjunct Neptune, and both the moon and Neptune are sextiling Pluto in Capricorn and sextiling Uranus in Taurus. So these are all harmonious aspects between these three outer planets, which represent or indicate that there is some kind of divine support coming through. Divine protection to you as well. The 9th house is to do with your belief systems, beliefs around religion, spirituality, worldviews, politics, etc., etc. And the 9th house also rules over education, travel, legal matters, and the law. So all of these, or some or more of these themes, maybe all of these themes, could be coming up for you in some way, shape, or form. So you could have a sudden spiritual awakening, an epiphany of a spiritual nature or religious nature, some kind of, let's say, download when it comes to your life purpose, your life path, what you want to be pursuing. It's almost like you're being realigned to just head in the right direction and get back on track, especially if you feel like you've lost your way. On a different note, this can indicate the successful completion of or conclusion of a legal matter. So obviously it's a general reading. It's hard to say how this is all going to play out for each person, but it could be that you're winning some kind of court case, or you are successfully putting it to bed, like it's not going to come up for you anymore. On a different note, this can indicate receiving some kind of education which has esoteric or spiritual or creative themes attached to it. And lastly, with an eclipse in the 9th house, this can indicate that there is a travel experience which is drawing to a close, or perhaps one that you've been working towards for a long time is suddenly available, you know, for you. So for example, if there was a trip that you had wanted to go on, or that you'd been thinking about or planning, maybe you didn't have time off, or it wasn't the right time, perhaps around September or even October, you know, this travel opportunity is available to you. So Cancer, Sun, Moon and Risings, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'll be back with my October horoscopes, where I'll be discussing the new moon eclipse in Libra, which is very exciting. And yeah, now I'm going to move on to Leo in just a moment. Okay, so this is for, I keep doing the wrong hand, Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings, and I do recommend that you watch for your ascendant, Sun and Moon, because watching all three will give you a very well-rounded idea of what you can expect for September. Okay, so Leos, on the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Uranus is going to station retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 10th house, and Uranus will be squaring you. So the Leos who will be the most affected would be those around 23 to 29 degrees. In any case, we experience this transit once a year. Uranus goes retrograde for about 5.5 months, so it's not really a big deal, but why not mention it, because it's happening today as I'm filming. And with it retrograding in your 10th house, this can indicate you having some kind of idea when it comes to what you want to achieve professionally, resurging back into your life. So this could be related to work milestones. If not work, maybe this is about the legacy that you want to create and that you want to leave behind. On a different note, if it's not related to work, this could be changes to a relationship status, whether that's romantic, or this could be a business relationship. On a different note, the 10th house rules over our public persona and our public profile. So this could indicate that you are having downloads of information when it comes to how you want to show up in the world, what you want to spend your life pursuing and creating. Now, on the 2nd of September, Pluto is going to retrograde from Aquarius back into the sign of Capricorn, and this means Pluto will be in your 6th house. So it will be there until the 19th or 20th of November, at which point it's going to move back into Aquarius. So this is Pluto's last hurrah in Capricorn. So the 6th house rules over work, employees, health, pets. It also rules over our day-to-day tasks, our work-life balance as well, and our daily habits and routines, if I didn't mention that already. So basically, having Pluto retrograde at 29 degrees indicates that there is something of a critical nature, being the critical degree, that's coming up that relates to one or more of those themes. So this can indicate that you are working to overcome potential blocks or insecurities that are related to your health, that are related to your work, that you may be experiencing with an employee or your existing employees, or this could be to do with pets as well. I would say that there is something that you've been working on or working towards that maybe you didn't think had a solution, or maybe you could only see a certain set of options for you, for your life, for your personal set of circumstances. And then Pluto retrograde at 29 degrees is like, hey, let's break you out of these self-limiting, beliefs that you have been putting upon yourself or that you have been experiencing. With respect to work, there may be something which crops back up that you thought was done and dusted. So that could be like, I thought I never had to do that job again. I thought I never had to work with this person again. I thought I never had to, engage with this software or with this program, or I thought I had it all, locked and loaded and ready to go. And then it's like one last problem comes up. Look, I don't want to lie. The sixth house rules over loans, debts, mortgages, as well as conflicts and problems. So Pluto retrograde at 29 degrees in your sixth house indicates that there's just one last chapter that you need to get through, one last push. You're nearly done. Don't say this to, let's say, put you on edge. Remember, it's a general reading, so this is going to play out differently for everyone. You're so close to being at the end of this chapter, at the end of this cycle that you may have been experiencing problems with or issues with over the last few years, maybe even something that occurred around 2008, especially if it's to do with your health. This is a great time for overcoming health problems, or even just an aversion to a certain set of daily habits, like good habits versus bad habits. So like I said, it's the 2nd of September through till the 19th, 20th of November. Then you're done. And guess what? You're done forever, because Pluto will not be in Capricorn again for another 250 years-ish. Now, on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees, and this will be taking place in your second house. The second house is related to finances, resources and possessions, food, as well as this part of the body. Okay, so mouth, teeth, lower half of the face, thyroid, neck, throat, etc., etc. And with a new moon here in your second house, it's all about planting new seeds, starting a new chapter, working towards something new. And P.S., this is likely to be something that you are already aware of. And I say that because we had Mercury retrograde in Virgo, then into Leo. And so essentially, this could be something that's been in your awareness since August, or maybe even late July. In any case, it could be that you are wanting to generate a new stream of income, more money. You may be wanting to procure a certain resource or a valuable, so you could be working towards some kind of procuring some kind of possession. On a different note, some of you may be making some changes to your diet, your cooking, what you eat. So there could be certain goals that you are setting for yourself that involve your diet and your food habits. On a different note, you could be making plans for certain dental work, whether this is like whitening your teeth, a filling, getting a root canal. And lastly, with this one, you could be working to improve the, let's say, I don't say health of your thyroid, but maybe you are wanting to look at certain hormones that are taking, I'm sorry guys, I'm nearly at my intermission. Let me start again. You may be working on a set of new health regimes that involve food to regulate your thyroid. Okay, so on the 3rd of November, Mars in Gemini in your 11th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 8th house. Okay, and this will be taking place at 28 degrees. So basically, Gemini rules over our thoughts and our mind, and Neptune rules over emotions and intuition. So there may be some kind of disconnect here. There may be some kind of difficult decision that you need to make or that you want to make that may be fueled by, let's say, out of balance hormones or out of balance emotions. I would just say watch out for arguments or tension with friends or any community that you are part of, because Mars is in your 11th house in Gemini. And at the end of the day, you know, this transit only happens once every 9 or 10 months. You may feel the effects from around, you know, 1st of September through till 5th or 6th or maybe even 7th of September. But in any case, you know, Mars is moving into Cancer on the 4th. So with Mars in Cancer in your 12th house from the 4th or 5th of September, depending where you live in the world, this can indicate that you're working on something behind the scenes, because the 12th house is very much a hidden house. It rules over things like fantasy, creativity, creative writing, filmography, photography. The 12th house is also related to occult and esoteric matters and anything to do with healing. The let's say lower vibration of the 12th house, or the lower manifestation of the 12th house, relates to self-sabotage, self-limiting beliefs and behaviors, as well as, you know, victimhood. Okay, so perceiving oneself as a victim, and of course substance abuse issues. So with Mars in your 12th house, this can indicate that you're working on one or more of these areas. Even if you're not actively or consciously doing this, they could be coming up for you. Okay, so your subconscious could be bringing these things to your attention. Mars will be retrograding in Leo and also Cancer in December, and then January, February of 2025. So do consider what you are starting around the 4th or 5th of September, or what's happening, you know, in the month of September for you, because these themes will be bubbling back up again over the Christmas break. So Mars in the 12th house can see you working on a creative project behind the scene, again, something to do with photography or filmography, working on a charity. Maybe you are applying to receive some kind of charity or assistance with receiving donations. On a different note, you may be working to overcome a substance, let's say addiction, or, you know, even if this is just cutting down on using certain substances. And for some of you, this could be recreational drugs. For others of you, maybe you're working on whittling down, you know, what medications you are on. On a different note, Mars going through the 12th house can indicate having nightmares. You know, that's an unfortunate side effect of Mars in Cancer that is worth mentioning. But some of you may just be working on your sleep quality, sleep hygiene, and so on and so forth. Now, on the 18th of September, so this is, you know, the last transit for you, Leo, Sun, Moon, or Risings, there will be a full moon eclipse at 25 degrees in your 8th house. So this, let's say full moon eclipses and lunar eclipses, which are one and the same, indicate the end of a chapter or some kind of situation reaching a conclusion or reaching a peak. Because this eclipse, this full moon lunar eclipse, is with the North Node, it's delivering something to you. Okay, so you're receiving something out of this eclipse, whether that's a physical thing or an emotional trade-off in a positive way, I would say. So this full moon eclipse, like I said, is in Pisces, and it's at 25 degrees in your 8th house. The 8th house is associated with mutual resources. So for some of you, this could be finally separating your mutual resources with another person, and you derive some kind of benefit from that. For others of you, you could be combining your mutual resources with another person, and, you know, you could be benefiting in that respect. Some of you may be receiving an inheritance. Not trying to foreshadow anything here. You know, for some of you, it could have just been that, you know, someone in your family or someone that you know is deciding to give you inheritance money early or share something of value with you, maybe even an heirloom, you know, earlier than you had anticipated. That happened to me once, you know, before my grandpa passed several years ago. He was like, you know, I was going to give you this money anyway, here's a check, etc. On a different note, a full moon eclipse in the 8th house can indicate that you're overcoming some kind of block emotionally. So this could be related to emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy, feeling like you're able to be vulnerable with another person. And by doing this, it's bringing the two of you closer together. On a different note, this can indicate that you are maybe revealing a secret or something that you had just been keeping to yourself with another person, and you know, you derive let's say your relationship improves after choosing to do this, or maybe someone is sharing something with you and you're able to help them and it's bringing the two of you closer together. On a different note, the 8th house is related to the occult, anything esoteric in nature. So you could have a profound reading. Maybe this is a tarot reading, an astrology reading, a Reiki session. The 8th house is related to transformation and healing. So you could be overcoming some kind of physical challenge. So something could be healing or healed within you around the time of this eclipse, which once again is on the 18th of September, plus or minus about a month. This eclipse, well, let's say the moon is conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees, and both the moon and Neptune are sextile Pluto and sextile Uranus. So all three of the slowest moving outer planets are in beautiful harmony with one another, which is super, super positive in the sense that there is divine blessing here at play. There's divine protection, divine intervention. So whatever is happening around the 18th of September, you know, eclipses can be kind of dicey. They can have like a frenetic, chaotic energy to it. You can't really harness the energy of an eclipse, nor should you try, in my personal opinion. Just let the eclipse do its thing and you ride its wave. But just know that whatever is happening around this time, it's for your best and highest good, and it is divinely inspired in some way, shape, or form. So Leo, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm now going to move on to Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. First of all, happy Virgo season. It is Virgo season until about the 21st, 22nd of September, at which point we switch over to Libra season. So at the time that I'm filming this, we have another 3 weeks of it being our season. So if you're a Virgo rising, having the sun in Virgo in your first house can lead to you experiencing more vitality, more energy. You know, you may be making some positive improvements to your physical appearance. You may be focused on getting more healthy, getting fit. And if you're a Virgo sun, there is a light being shone or focus upon your career. And this is supporting career growth, expansion, or clarity surrounding life purpose, possibly a promotion as well. If you're a Virgo moon, like me, there is a focus on your home life, so your property, your living circumstances, as well as children, parents, and family matters. So, you know, your health, your emotional health and well-being will be, you know, a big point of focus for you. I myself am already experiencing this as a 1-degree Virgo moon. And what I will say though is that this Virgo season will be feeling different to how it usually feels. I mean, everyone is different, but I say this because We had Mercury retrograde in Virgo and then Leo. Although it's direct now, the post-shadow period will last until about the 13th of September. So like myself, you're probably still experiencing stupid little Mercury retrograde-isms. But moving along. On the 1st/2nd of September, Uranus will station retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees, and this will be in your 9th house. It's not a big deal, but you know, it's happening today, tomorrow, so it's worth a mention. Uranus goes retrograde every year for about 5.5 months. The Virgos who will feel it the most will be those around 23 degrees to 29 degrees. With Uranus retrograde in the 9th house, this can disrupt travel plans, education plans, as well as you reassessing your belief systems, whether these are religious, spiritual, political, etc. It could just be that you have a sudden download of information or clarity about what direction you want to move in with respect to travel plans and education plans, or maybe, you know, if your spiritual practices or religious practices had sort of been on pause or fallen by the wayside, you know, you could be revisiting those around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of September, and then, you know, reintegrating these over the next 5.5 months. On the 2nd of September, Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn at 29 degrees, and it will be in your 5th house. So it will be trining you as a Virgo. The Virgos who would be the most affected would be those between 25 to 29 degrees. Full bingo card if you're a 29 degree Virgo sun, moon, or rising. Pluto will be leaving Capricorn for good on the 19th/20th of November, depending where you live in the world. Pluto won't be in Capricorn again for like 250 years, so it's a big deal. With it being retrograde, and more importantly, with it being at 29 degrees and in your 5th house, there's something that's coming up to finally just be confronted head on, tackled, put to bed, dealt with, one final challenge, one final push, and then that chapter is closed once and for all. So the 5th house is related to our love life, our romantic life. It also rules over children. It rules over your business, if you own your own business, as well as creative projects, passions, hobbies, and so on and so forth. It rules over fun too. So with Pluto retrograde in your 5th house, and again, more importantly, with Pluto at 29 degrees for nearly the next 3 months, these themes are coming up for you, for us, big time. If you are in a relationship, remember the 5th house is related to love and romance, then any issues that you have in this relationship, any insecurities, any doubts, these are being looked at, these are being dealt with. Some of you will go your separate ways with your significant other. Some of you will be overcoming a major challenge or a major hurdle in your relationship, whether this is, you know, their problem, whether this is something you're needing to overcome or something that's affected the both of you. For example, communication, given that Pluto rules over your 3rd house, you're weeding out these issues and tackling them. And, you know, for those of you who, you know, overcome them with your partner, the two of you will be stronger than ever, but you will see the, let's say, the fruition or your hard work coming to fruition after Pluto goes back into Aquarius on the 19th, 20th of November. For others of you, this can indicate that there's been maybe backing and forthing when it comes to starting a family or expanding your family, or looking at the way in which you are expanding your family. So for some of you, this could be adoption, fostering, IVF. For others of you, maybe you weren't sure if you wanted to start a family or expand your family further. Maybe you and your partner were on different pages, and you know, this can indicate that you are looking at what kind of parent you want to be, whether this is parenting techniques, whether this is your approach. Maybe this is to do with boundaries, structure, rules, and discipline, especially because those are the things that Capricorn rules over. Some of you may be overcoming relationship difficulties that you've been experiencing with one of your children. If they are older, maybe this is your relationship with them. For others of you, this could be a developmental let's say thing that you've been experiencing with your child, one of your children, if they are younger. So, I do want to say that if there is something that you thought you had overcome with respect to parenting, with maybe developmental stages that your child is at, if they regress for a little bit, for example, this could be like, you had issues with their sleep and then they started sleeping again, and then boom, we get into Pluto retrograde on the 2nd of September and their sleep routine goes out the window. I really truly think that you will be able to overcome this, after or by the time of, let's say, 19th, 20th of November. So don't freak out if there's a step backward with your children, with, trying to conceive or expand your family, with your relationship. For some of you, it could just be that it's 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. Maybe it's a big step back, but then after Pluto is in Aquarius from the 20th of November, it can be full steam ahead. On a different note, like I said, the 5th house is related to hobbies, passions, anything creative that we do, creative projects, as well as owning one's own business. So there can be like a big review that is coming up when it comes to, well, what am I doing that makes me happy? What am I good at creatively speaking? What are my passions? What are my hobbies? Why have I not crocheted or, painted or danced for however long? I really want to get back into that. So this can actually be a very fruitful time for you creatively speaking, which I think is really beautiful. So this can be picking these creative projects back up. If there is something you've been working on creatively and you feel like you're encountering some kind of big, writer's block, creative block, or if you thought you were making headway and then, things are just put on pause around this time, just know that, Pluto being retrograde at 29 degrees indicates a crisis that comes up, even if it's like a creative crisis. But you can overcome this. You will overcome this by the time that Pluto is in Aquarius from the 19th, 20th of November. And, with those of you who own your own business, this can indicate that certain things are coming up for review. This isn't working for me anymore. I can't offer this service. I need to scale up. I need to, streamline my work processes and my daily processes. Maybe you need to cut some products or services that you're currently selling, especially because Pluto rules over the 3rd house, which rules over sales. On a different note though, this can see you having to overcome certain mental blockages or hurdles with respect to your potential for career success. How big can you go? How far can you take this idea? What's the scalability of this business venture or of this, brand that you're looking to expand? So there can be some teething issues that you need to work through, which can feel very, very overwhelming. On a different note though, there could be someone who comes in to help you make your dream a reality, because Pluto does rule over mutual resources. Moving along though, on the 3rd of November, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees in your 1st house. All right. So a new moon in the 1st house is always a very reinvigorating time. It's a very special time when it comes to setting new intentions, getting clear about your goals, and what path you want to go down or go on or pursue. It can be a great time to set goals when it comes to your physical appearance, your physical body. physical body. I mean, physical exercise and health and well-being, you know, all Virgo stuff really. So this can indicate that you're setting new goals for yourself. You want to stick to this new workout regime. You want to stick to, you know, eating healthily. And some of you may be looking at how you come off in terms of appearances, persona, aura, even, you know, how you speak and the kind of language that you use as well. So with this new moon taking place in your first house, it's worth noting that it will be opposing Saturn in your 7th house, and it will also be squaring Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter and Gemini is in your 10th house. So this new moon, this new let's say seed that you want to plant or goal that you want to set could involve another person because of the opposition to Saturn in the 7th house. So maybe you're wanting to partner up with someone, you want their help, you want to enlist their support, or they're making a promise to assist you in some way or offer you some kind of guidance. The square to Jupiter in your 10th house can indicate that this is going to expand your career or expand your public persona, or how people know you and perceive you. And this can indicate that you are getting very clear about your life path or your purpose in life. So it is a very exciting new moon, I do think. Say so myself as a Virgo moon. On the 3rd of September, we're also going to see Mars in Gemini in the 10th house, squaring Neptune in Pisces in the 7th house at 28 degrees. So let me just say, for the new moon in Virgo, the Virgos most affected would be those between about 6 degrees and 16 degrees. And then with the Mars in Gemini square Neptune in Pisces aspect, the Virgos who will be the most affected will be those around 25 to 29 degrees. Okay, so first of all, Gemini rules over our thoughts and our mind, and Neptune rules over our emotions and our intuition. So this can be like a classic case between, you know, the mind wanting to rule out over what the heart wants or what our emotions are telling us, or, you know, wanting to follow your gut or follow your intuition, but this directly, you know, contradicts whatever conclusions you're drawing consciously. And this could very well involve decisions related to career, public profile, or business relationships, or even your romantic relationship or your marriage. And that's because Neptune's in the 7th and Mars is in the 10th. So maybe this is to do with someone giving you advice and you're not sure whether you should follow it or not. And ultimately, there can just be difficulty here when it comes to making decisions, especially because you're being squared and opposed at the same time. So I would just be mindful of deferring important life-changing decisions if you can, between about the 1st of September through till, you know, 6th or 7th of September. But if you have to, then you have to, and that's life. And obviously this is a general reading, so just take it as it applies. There may be some confusion about a business deal or a negotiation. You know, I thought you were offering me this, I thought you had said that. So there may just be clarification that's needed. Maybe you thought you were being offered certain terms or a salary or certain working conditions, and this other person just has like a different idea. It's honestly like this aspect, it's like the two of you are speaking two different languages and neither of you speak the other language that the other person is speaking. So, you know, that's the energy of the Mars-Neptune square. Just know we experience this aspect once every 9 to 10 months. I could say this, it just has a Mercury retrograde flavor to it. So, you know, just be mindful. On the 4th/5th of September, Mars is going to enter the sign of Cancer in your 11th house. So
First of all, Mars will be going retrograde into Leo and then Cancer in December this year, and then it'll be retrograde in Cancer January, February in 2025. So no, we're not officially in the pre-shadow period with Mars in Cancer in September. The pre-shadow period will start around the 5th of October next month. However, themes that are coming up for you around this time are worth taking note of because you'll probably be revisiting those over the Christmas break. I like a Mars in the 11th house transit, to be quite honest, because the 11th house rules over our long-term goals, long-term projects, the work that we do with our chosen communities, maybe looking at forming a community. It rules over friendships as well and passive forms of income, excuse me, as well as, let's say, inventions, innovation, science. And the 11th house rules over social media, as well as awards, rewards, and accolades. I don't think I mentioned that yet. So, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Mars through the 11th house indicates that you are going to be more focused on your long-term goals and dreams, more focused on expanding your network in some cases, or creating or forming new networks. On a different note, this can see you trimming down the friendship tree, because it is Mars. Mars can cut things out of our life. So in one way, you could be cutting back on your association with certain people or groups or communities, but it allows you to redirect that energy and channel it into important goals and objectives. So it's like, okay, the energy that I was using on this, I can now use elsewhere. And it can be a very productive time. Maybe, you're working on a long-term project. Maybe you're starting up something which requires some heavy project planning. If I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure my first ever set of horoscopes that I did, like ever, on my astrology channel was when I had a Mars retrograde in my 11th house in Aries. So you can achieve a lot, and you will just be focused on these themes, just generally speaking. I will just say, watch out for arguments online, arguments with friends, and stirring the pot in certain communities that you are part of. The best way to kind of harness and channel that energy is to work on a long-term project, work on generating a new stream of passive income, or even like work out online. So you may want to do some sort of online course which requires you to work on your physicality. So lastly, Virgo, on the 18th of September, there will be a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees in your 7th house. So, first of all, an eclipse in the 7th house indicates there being some sort of very important communication with another person that takes place, or there is an important development when it comes to a romantic relationship, a collaboration, a business partnership, or maybe even an important client deal, because the 7th house rules over sales as well. So this eclipse in your 7th house is going to deliver you something. And I say that because it's with the North Node. So the North Node will give you something, but something is also coming to a close. Something is ending, as is the nature of a full moon eclipse, or let's say a lunar eclipse. All right. So as an example, some of you could be concluding some kind of business partnership. You could be closing on an important sale or a deal with a client. Maybe you have a professional obligation to someone, and your obligation is now coming to a conclusion. It's like the end of a contract. It doesn't have to be anything serious, let's say, but maybe what comes out of it is unexpected. Maybe this is another contract, or maybe you thought, okay, once this contract is over, the next contract will be renewed and perhaps it's not. If that's the case, I just want you Virgos to be aware that this full moon eclipse has a lot of divine support from the outer planets, and that's because the full moon eclipse is at 25 degrees, it's conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees, it's sextiling Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, and then it's also sextiling Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees. So there's harmonious energy or a harmonious conversation between Neptune and Pluto and Uranus. So there is divine intervention at play, there's divine protection, there's divine timing at play. For some of you, you could be taking your romantic relationship to a different status, whether this is becoming exclusive, getting engaged, getting married. For a select few of you, this could be the end of a romantic relationship. But again, whatever's taking place around this time is divinely inspired and divinely timed. At the end of the day, there's a major shift or status change to one or more of your personal one-to-one relationships. So this could be a business partnership, a client, a romantic relationship, or even services that you receive from another person or that you yourself offer. It could be that you've been working on being able to offer services in a one-to-one capacity, and this has been something that's been in the works for maybe the last few months, and then around the 18th of September it's like, okay, I'm ready to deliver this, I'm ready to offer this now. And so Virgo, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm now going to take a short 10-minute break just to refresh and come back with renewed energy to do the last 6 signs. So I'll see you guys in 10 minutes for Libra. Hi Libra Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your September 2024 horoscope. So you can watch this if you are a Libra Sun, Moon or Rising, and I would recommend that you watch all your big 3 for Sun, Moon and Rising for all of the September horoscopes, because that way you'll get a really well-rounded idea of what you can expect for the month ahead. So Libras. On the 1st/2nd of September, Uranus is going to station retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 8th house. So every year, Uranus goes retrograde for about 5.5 months. It's not really a big deal. This is not making a major aspect to you in your 8th house. So it is worth mentioning though, because it's happening today as I'm filming this horoscope. The 8th house rules over your mutual resources. It rules over healing, transformation. It rules over emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy, as well as the occult and anything esoteric in nature. So you may find that around this time, around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd or 4th of September, that you are wanting to change the way that your mutual resources are set up or the way that they're structured. So you may be telling someone that you want to, separate what the two of you have together in terms of finances, resources, and assets, and so on and so forth. On a different note, you may have some sort of download of information when it comes to how you and another person could be generating more wealth. Maybe you're looking at refinancing, maybe looking at making changes to your investment portfolio. You may decide that you want to revisit a certain, let's say, esoteric practitioner. Maybe this is, someone who practices Reiki, tarot, astrology, and so on and so forth. Lastly, this can indicate that you are finally coming up with a way to overcome certain self-limiting fears and insecurities and behaviors. Now, on the 2nd of September, Pluto is going to station retrograde in in Capricorn at 29 degrees, and this will be in your 4th house. And this is the last time that Pluto will ever be in Capricorn in this lifetime. It won't be in Capricorn again for another 250 odd years. So it's bringing up themes of the 4th house for you: family, ancestry, lineage, property, living circumstances, your relationship with your family, so parents, children, and so on and so forth. Now, 29 degrees is the critical degree in astrology. It's the anaretic degree. So there may be some kind of, for some of you, crisis. For others of you, pinnacle or peak moment that you are reaching between, again, the 2nd of September through till about the 19th, 20th of November. And this can indicate that you are having to overcome challenges or hurdles with respect to your family. So this could be your relationship with your parents, grandparents, children, and it doesn't mean that you need to be on talking terms with them. For some of you, even if this loved one in your life or this family member, even if you don't love them, if these themes are coming up for you, or for some reason, you're having heavy, deep-seated emotions coming up to the surface around this time, it's for you to work through these. And some of you may have really thought that you'd made peace with this. You don't talk to your mom, you don't talk to your dad, but you thought that, well, it's been 5 years, 20 years, maybe they passed a long time ago. Like, why is this coming up for me now? It's because Pluto wants to make sure you're really, really done with this chapter. So there's something more to be gleaned from the situation. There's more juice to be squeezed out of this lemon, or as my partner likes to say, meat on them bones. All right. So you're having to just go into the caverns of your soul to purge any toxicity, any last remaining negative energies surrounding this topic or this relationship that you have or had or don't have or didn't have with this person or with this individual, these individuals in your life. So, Pluto's squaring you, Libra. It may be an emotional time. I do want to prepare you for that. In saying that, the Libras who would be most affected would be those between about 25 to 29 degrees. And again, this is Libra sun, moon, and risings. On a different note, there may have been some kind of confusion, obstacle, hurdle that needs to be overcome with that's a kookaburra. Welcome to Australia. Anyway, I was going to say that, this could be related to your property and living circumstances. So maybe you're working on relocating, whether this is just to the next suburb over, interstate, to another country, doesn't matter. There may be some red tape here for those of you who are waiting on citizenship or permanent residency or some sort of important visa. Capricorn indicates this bureaucratic red tape that you need to get through. So there may be like one final push here where you're needing to supply additional paperwork, documents, or you need to appeal some kind of decision that's been made. For others of you, this can indicate that you are wanting to really work on your emotional stability, okay? Family aside, living circumstances aside, this is likely to dredge up some deep-seated emotions. So just know that once we get out the other side of this, so, post 19th/20th of November, you're done. You're not going back to this because Pluto will not be in Capricorn again in your lifetime. So you just have to ride the wave of 29 degrees, Pluto at 29 degrees, and you'll come out the other side in late November. Now, on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees, and this will be in your 12th house. So new moons are all about planting new seeds, setting new intentions, outlining goals for what you want to achieve in the future or for the future. In saying that, this new moon is in one of the hidden houses. So the 12th house is like what you do behind the scenes, what you do behind closed doors. It governs the sleep realm, the other realms, divinity, healing, forgiveness, as well as creativity. So the 5th house and the 12th house are very creative houses in astrology. So you may be deciding that you want to work on a creative pursuit or project. So maybe this is to do with music, film, photography, acting, creative writing, fantasy, and so on and so forth. For others of you, this could be a time where you retreat into yourself, and the new moons in general are very much a time for doing that. So a new moon in the 12th house can see you feeling especially antisocial, seeking solitude. And this is like in 2 days. In saying that, the new moon energy will be at play for a couple of weeks. So you may be planting these seeds, setting these new intentions, or feeling less social than normal until around the 17th of September. And I will talk about Libra season in just a moment, but I want to go in chronological order because I'm a Virgo moon. On the 3rd of November, we're also going to see Mars in Gemini in your 9th house, squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 6th house at 28 degrees. So, Neptune's not making major aspects to you, but Mars in Gemini is fortunately trining you. So I guess that's good. Now, this is typically speaking a more challenging aspect that we're facing, but it only happens once every 9 or 10 months. In terms of breaking this down, Gemini, so Mars in Gemini, rules over our thoughts and it rules over our mind. Mars in Gemini can cause a lot of, let's say, it can cause indecision, analysis paralysis, or just wanting to make decisions like really, really quick. But Neptune in Pisces squaring Mars in Gemini is like, oh, but in terms of what you're thinking emotionally, I don't want to do that. Like my intuition is going against what I think is right. So there can be a disconnect or some friction between the action that you think that you should take and the action that you feel that you should take. So they may be at odds, or there may be some kind of incompatibility there, or perhaps it's to do with timing. Like even if your gut or your intuition is aligned with your cognitive processes, there may just be some confusion over when is the right time. On a different note, Mars in Gemini can be an argumentative transit, and squaring Neptune in Pisces can be like deeply hurting someone with the words that we say, or vice versa. So, if you are known for having a sharp tongue, or you just know this about yourself, that you express yourself very eloquently. So if you want to hurt someone with your words, you can. Please be mindful that, especially on the 3rd of November, but plus or minus a few days, your words may lodge very deeply and do some emotional damage to another person. So that's something that you may want to guard against. But it doesn't have to be related to other people. For some of you, there could just be confusion about timing with respect to travel, education, 9th house stuff, and how this is going to marry with 6th house stuff, such as work. Will your responsibilities to pets or animals get in the way, or even employees, and so on and so forth. On the 4th/5th of September, Mars will enter the sign of Cancer, which means it will be transiting your 10th house. Now, Mars will not be in the pre-shadow period, but it's worth noting that Mars will be retrograde in Leo and then in Cancer. So that's December and then January, February in 2025. So themes that come up for you post 4th/5th of September may be revisited for you, or will be revisited for you over the Christmas break. When Mars goes into our 10th house, this is when we get very gung-ho about our career, our goals, career objectives, work milestones, gunning for a promotion. On a different note, it can be a time where there's conflict that you experience with your boss or with someone who's in a position of leadership or authority. This could even be with the government, with the law. So just be mindful of that, I would say. On a different note, with Mars going through your 10th house, this can indicate that you may be quickly taking your relationship with another person to the next level. I say quickly because Mars rules over speed. And I say your relationship with another person because Mars rules over your 7th house. So you may have gotten into a relationship quite quickly, or if you're already in a relationship, maybe you're taking that next step with your partner, and other people might find it to be too quick, or quicker than the norm, whatever the norm is. And maybe this is to do with getting engaged, getting married, moving in together, or making some kind of decision which affects your relationship, and then it's like your relationship in the public eye and the status of that relationship. Okay, so with Mars in Cancer in the 10th house, this is a time where you can be doing some amazing work on your let's say in your career, in your chosen industry, and this is a time where you may be competing for a position, for a job title, for a job. And again, it could be very, very competitive. Maybe it's like a stringent process that you're going to be going through. And, it could take a few months to land this job, to be honest, because the Mars post-shadow period will I want to say end in March, if not April in 2025. So whatever you start working on around September, this could be a very long project or initiative for you. Okay, Libra. So on the 18th of September, there will be a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees in your 6th house. The 6th house rules over your work life, your day-to-day habits, your health routines, health regimes, as well as pets. So a full moon eclipse in the 6th house can indicate that there is some kind of significant change that is, again, it's a kookaburra, that is coming through in your life, all right? So maybe this is having completed some kind of work project, work initiative, maybe your responsibilities or your duties in the workplace are shifting. This can indicate that you've been working towards bringing an employee on board and you're finally giving them the contract. On the other side of it, you may actually be letting go of an employee, or maybe more than one. And in any case, with this full moon eclipse, it's with the North Node, okay? It's delivering you something. It's bringing you something. So you won't walk away empty-handed from this eclipse on the 18th of September. Others of you may finally land a contract that you had been working towards for quite a while. Some of you may be adopting a pet, fostering a pet, welcoming a new pet into your home. And others of you may be working on overcoming some kind of health challenge. And this can see you going through a healing process. I do want to mention that this eclipse has divine support alongside it because it is conjunct Neptune, and the moon and Neptune are sextiling Pluto in Capricorn and sextiling Uranus and Taurus on the other end. And so there is some kind of divine protection that's being presented and being offered by these slower moving outer planets. So this eclipse is conjunct Saturn. It's sort of a wide conjunction, and Saturn is opposite Mercury. So, there may be some kind of delayed gratification that comes through, or the reward may be hard won, let's say. Now, lastly, Libras, on the 22nd of September, it's Libra season. So the sun will be moving into the sign of Libra. If you are a Libra rising, this can indicate that you have more vitality, more energy. You may be focusing on your physical appearance more. This could be a look at getting more fit, getting more healthy, and reassessing your goals in life. If you're a Virgo sun, this can be shining a light on your career and lead to more growth and expansion, or perhaps a possible promotion or clarity surrounding your life purpose. To be fair, our sun sign is also connected with our health and vitality as well. If you're a Libra moon, this can indicate that there is a focus on your home life, your family life, so your relationship with your children, parents, anyone who's in your family, anyone that you live with, even if this is just flatmates, and also your property and living circumstances are being highlighted if you're a Libra moon, as well as your emotional health and well-being. To be fair, this won't feel like your usual Libra season, and that is because of the energy of the eclipse, okay? Because the South Node is in Libra, which is your sign. And just so you know, the South Node will leave Libra for another 19-ish years on the 11th of January 2025. So I know things have been hard for a lot of Libras. There's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel, and difficulties that you've been experiencing since perhaps July last year, when the South Node first entered Libra, can start to abate and dissipate as we move into the new year with that shift from the South Node out of your sign. So Libra, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in October next month for my October horoscope, and in that horoscope I'll be discussing the new moon eclipse in Libra on the 2nd. So that's at 10 degrees. If you're a Libra, you definitely will want to watch the October horoscope. So thanks again, Libra. And now let's move on to Scorpio. So Scorpio, sun, moon, and risings. On the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Uranus is going to station retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 7th house. Every year, Uranus goes retrograde for about five and a half months, so it's not really a big deal, but it is in your 7th house. So this is affecting your personal relationships, your romantic partner, if you're in a relationship, as well as, let's say, business clients, collaborations, your relationship with a business partner, and so on and so forth. So the Scorpios who will be most affected will be those between about 22, 23 degrees up to 29 degrees. Full points if you are a 27 degree Scorpio sun, moon, or rising. So what this can play out as is someone going back on their word, someone going back on a contract. Maybe it's you. Maybe this is unexpected changes to a situation with a family member, because Uranus rules over the 4th house, or perhaps this is to do with your like the sale of your house or your contract if you are renting, or if you have tenants and whatnot. On a different note, this can just be an unexpected conversation that you have around the 1st or 2nd or maybe 3rd of September. And it could be with a friend, given that it's 27 degrees. Maybe you're finding out something which you deem to be surprising, or it could just be running into someone unexpectedly and you're like, oh, maybe in your local neighborhood, a neighbor, friend, or a sibling, especially because, again, 27 degrees is the Gemini degree. So on the 2nd of September, Pluto, which is one of your ruling planets, will retrograde from Aquarius back into Capricorn. So it's going from Aquarius in your 4th house into Capricorn in your 3rd house at 29 degrees. It is sextiling you, which is a beneficial, harmonious aspect. But, in terms of the orb, the Scorpios who will feel the sextile the most are only going to be those around, 26, 27, 28, 29 degrees Scorpio. So Pluto will be in Capricorn until the 19th/20th of November, at which point it's going to move back into Aquarius and be done and dusted in Capricorn for another 250 years. So what does this mean? There is some kind of challenge, there is some kind of test from the universe, or there is some sort of project on a grand scale that is coming up for review that you thought was done. Okay, so with Pluto retrograde in the third house, this can indicate, maybe having to make changes to content that you had created, a book that you had written. Maybe this is to do with your online social media platform or presence, and there's a bit of a rebranding that's going on. Maybe you are reactivating a social media platform that you thought was completely done and dusted. And for some of you, this will just be until the 19th, 20th of November. For others of you, this could play out as finishing up some kind of education course, education program. Maybe you're nearly done with an apprenticeship, a certification or a diploma, or some kind of important qualification. For others of you, this is, I want to say, a very, very important relationship challenge that you may have been experiencing with a sibling, with an extended relative, with a friend, or maybe even a co-worker or a neighbor. But it's not just like any old neighbor or any old conversation or conflict. This is something heavy. This is something that's been difficult to let go of, difficult to shift, difficult to overcome, but you're going to overcome it during this time. So again, 2nd of September through till about the 19th, 20th of November, it's coming up for review. It's coming up so that you can finally purge it and just be done with this situation. For some of you, this is fully cutting someone out of your life completely. And it's like this is it, this was the last chance, and I'm done. And for me personally, I'm a never say never kind of person, but it's like with Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto's been there since 2008. Yes, it's moved into Aquarius a little bit from last year, but we're closing out like a 14-year cycle or chapter. And so you're either healing that relationship, overcoming this massive conflict or grievance and moving on, or you're moving on without them. So, decisions are being made with finality. And for some of you, you may have already decided this. You may have already cut this person out of your life. You may have already thought that you were just, done forever and a day with whatever the situation is. But no, Pluto is bringing it back up. It's being dredged back up. It's resurfacing for you because Pluto is saying, you thought you were done, but you're not done. So you're having to tend to something on a grand scale that is related to communications. For others of you, this is the last thing I'll say on it. This is to do with your mindset, overcoming negative thought processes, overcoming intrusive thoughts, overcoming negative thinking, self-sabotaging thoughts, behaviors, seeing the glass half full, overcoming, let's say, a tendency to be suspicious, or I dare say even paranoid when it comes to information that's been presented to you. So you're learning to discern between when your intuition is telling you, hey, this isn't safe, don't trust this person, do more research, and then the ego trying to protect itself. So there's a bit of a there's more work to be done in this department. What can I say? On the 3rd of September, we're also going to see Mars in Gemini in your 8th house, squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 5th house at 28 degrees. So Mars is your ruling planet. Wherever it goes, whatever it's doing, whatever aspects it's making, this affects you. It affects your life, and it indicates what you are doing, whatever's happening to you, or whatever action you are taking. So Mars, which again is your ruling planet, is in the 8th house. On one hand, Mars is very at home in the 8th house, because the 8th house is associated with Scorpio and Mars rules over Scorpio. On the other hand, Mars in the 8th house is like, paranoia, suspicion, conspiracy theories, and like, issues with emotional intimacy, sexual intimacy, and being vulnerable with other people could be rife at this time and coming up for you in a big way. Again, Gemini rules over the thoughts and our mind, as does the 3rd house, and Neptune rules over our emotions and our intuition. So Neptune is trining you, which is very supportive and harmonious in nature. But ultimately, this can indicate that your mind may be wanting to take you in a dark place in terms of the conclusions that you were drawing and the thoughts that you are having, whereas Neptune in Pisces in the 5th house is asking you to trust, to have faith, and that it's okay to heal, and that it's okay to forgive and to just move on. I would say be mindful of the fact that Neptune rules over hormones, medication, and substances. So if you're feeling restless, if you're easily agitated, if you're feeling angry or triggered, just know that, there may be other things at play here which are influencing your response to the situation. So maybe just ask yourself, well, am I under the influence? How's this medication impacting me that I just took, or this new medication that I started? Okay, I've just, smoked a joint. Like, maybe I'm underreacting to this situation. And of course, if your hormones are out of whack, whether this is depending on where you are with your cycle, pregnancy, thyroid, or if you just know that your hormones are out of whack, then around the 3rd of September, plus or minus, 2 or 3 days, which includes now, as I'm filming this, if you're watching this live, just ask yourself, is this my true response to this, or am I just in a heightened state? So if you can defer important decisions, I would. Again, it's a general reading, so like take that with a grain of salt. Nevertheless, let's move on, okay? So on the 4th/5th of September, depending where you live in the world, Mars will enter the sign of Cancer in your 9th house. Yay. Now it's trining you. It's making a positive aspect to you as a Scorpio sun, moon, or rising. And ultimately, it's worth noting what's coming up for you post 4th/5th of September, because Mars will actually be going retrograde in Leo and then Cancer over the Christmas break, which is, December, and then January, February 2025. So themes that come up now, probably going to come up then. In fact, definitely going to come up then. Mars in the 9th house indicates that there is a focus on your belief systems. These may be political, religious, spiritual, just like how you think the world works. And on a different note, the 9th house rules over education, it rules over travel and the law, and also our connection to source, God, divinity, and so on and so forth. So, insert X, whatever it is that you believe in. So Mars in Cancer in the 9th house indicates a challenge in this department. I want to travel. There's obstacles. There's hoops to jump through. I want to study. Oh, I need to apply for this. I need to get accepted. It's a lengthy application, or maybe, work, or for work reasons, or maybe even health reasons, or commitments to your pets. This could be getting in the way of that. And I say that because Mars rules over the 6th house. But Mars in Cancer, again, is ultimately trining you. So it's helping you to expand your horizons. Perhaps you're going to explore other cultures, change university degrees, change what you're studying. There may be a break away from your existing belief systems. Some of you may come out the other side of the Mars retrograde and even the Mars post-shadow period in April 2025, and you believe in something completely different to what you believe now. So, maybe just as like a little experiment, you may just want to know what are your belief systems. This is like an invitation for you to follow this as a journal prompt. What are my political beliefs, religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, beliefs on how the world works? Or even, you could do a little bit of a deep dive into your moral code, your personal code of ethics, moral compass, whatever you want to call it, and just have that available for review when you get to March, April next year, and you'll see how far you've come. So on the 18th of September, we will have a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees in your 5th house. Again, it's trining you. Yay. We like to see trines in astrology. And ultimately, with this full moon eclipse, it has a lot of divine support. It has a lot of divine protection. Why? It's conjunct Neptune, and both the moon and Neptune are sextiling Uranus in Taurus and sextiling Pluto in Capricorn. So the 3 slowest moving planets, the 3 outer planets, are all in beautiful harmony with one another, and it's supporting this eclipse. So eclipses, lunar eclipses, full moon eclipses, they are like full moons but on steroids, which means some kind of master conclusion or some kind of heightened chapter coming to a close, or a situation reaching its peak. In my personal view, eclipses are not to be used for harnessing that energy. It's not about manifestation. It's not about trying to channel the energy of the eclipse, because it's so chaotic. It's not to be controlled, let's say. Bit woo-woo, but I wouldn't even charge my crystals outside under the moon on an eclipse. On a different note, you can do things that support the sign that the eclipse is in. Meaning, Pisces rules over yoga, meditation, sleep, rest, creativity, unconditional love, healing, forgiveness, and spirituality as well. So if you want to, and also things like photography and whatnot. So if you want to try and maybe align yourself to what's going to help you go through the energy of the eclipse, you may want to get involved in those things. So yoga practice, meditation practice, working on something creative or artistic. You may need to sleep more than normal. If so, allow yourself to rest if you have the time and the means. The 5th house is related to love, romance, and children. It's also related to our creative hobbies and talents, as well as your own business, if you own your own business. So full moon eclipse in the 5th house. First of all, with the full moon eclipse being with the North Node, it's something coming to fruition and you being delivered a gift, or something coming to an end, a chapter coming to an end, but it's in place of something else, or something comes in after that. So what I mean by this is some of you may be taking your romantic relationship to the next level. For others of you, you may decide to go for a period of celibacy, or just remove yourself from the dating pool, but this gives you the energy and you're able to transfer that into other creative pursuits, or maybe more time with your children if you have children, or more time working on your business. For others of you, you could be launching a new business, launching a new product, maybe closing your business and you receive a payout from that. For others of you, you could be finding out that you're pregnant around this time, or maybe you are announcing that you are pregnant around this time. And again, this is the 18th-ish. Well, it's the 18th of September, but the energy is with us for 2 to 4 weeks either side of the eclipse. Others of you may be discovering new passions, new hobbies, and I certainly would implore you to pursue any creative project, venture, or hobby that tickles your fancy, because it's divinely guided, it's divinely inspired. Whatever is happening around this time is for your best and highest good, even if it takes you a little while to be able to recognize that. And so Scorpio, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And now I'm going to move on to September, Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This is your September 2024 horoscope. On the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Uranus is going to station retrograde in Taurus in your 6th house at 27 degrees. This happens every year. So Uranus goes retrograde every year for about 5.5 months. It's not really a big deal. It's not making a major aspect to you, so you may not even really feel it, but I thought it's worth mentioning because it's happening today on the 1st of September. So with the 6th house ruling over your work life, employees, pets, being of service, debts, loans, health as well, these topics, these themes may be coming up for you again around the first few days of September. Because Uranus is stationing retrograde at 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree, you may have ideas about this, okay? So it's like, how can I solve this problem? How can I, work smarter, not harder? If you've been looking to make changes to your health and wellness regime, you may have a sudden inspiration to do so. You may have ideas about what's going to work this time. How can I make this stick? On a different note, you may receive unexpected communication, which is related to a debt or related to mortgage or some kind of loan. On a different note, because the 6th house rules over pets, you may make a decision that is out of left field, or perhaps you are being ushered into a position where your perspective with respect to pets is changing somehow. Now, for others of you, you may receive an important but unexpected email or message that is related to your work. On the 2nd of September, Pluto is going to retrograde back into the sign of Capricorn. So at first it was 0 degrees Aquarius. From the 2nd of September, it will be in Capricorn at 29 degrees for the last time in our lifetimes. It'll be another 250-ish years until Pluto goes through all 12 signs and gets back to Capricorn. So this one is a big deal. Now, it will go back into Aquarius on the 19th, 20th-ish of November, depending where you live in the world. So we've got almost 3 months of Pluto at 29 degrees in your 2nd house. The 2nd house rules over finances, resources, your income, your spendings, your budgeting system, your possessions, your valuables, as well as your personal set of values. So Pluto retrograde here in your 2nd house is shaking this house up for you in a big way. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't have to indicate that something tangible is happening. Maybe your values with respect to these things are shifting in a big way. In any case, during this time, there may be some unexpected expenses. There may be changes to your personal income, to your salary. There can be a huge shift in your personal values, or maybe they had already changed and shifted in a big way, especially since about March last year, and now they're coming up for review. So with Pluto ruling over the 12th house, this is asking you to really look at, do I believe in this thing, this person, this concept, this worldview or what have you, because I really believe it? Or is it fueled by fear? because Pluto rules the 12th house, or is it fueled by insecurity? Is it fueled by propaganda? So there's a real zooming in on your personal values. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel strongly about this thing? Why do I have an aversion to that thing? Where is this all coming from? And, this is of great importance when it comes to what are my beliefs surrounding money, resources, and my earning potential. Because if you want to earn more money, if you want to be financially independent, financially responsible, and maybe this isn't even about finances, but this is independent when it comes to maybe off-grid living, food, resources, living off the land, just resources in other areas, then, there needs to be, let's say something needs to be reconciled here between the goal, the vision, and what your values are, and potential self-sabotaging or self-limiting subconscious belief systems that are, cutting you off at the knees. So on a different note, if you have been struggling with certain foods, allergies, not knowing what's making you ill, not knowing what's making you sick, then this is actually a great transit for figuring that out. So you may come to realize, oh, it's this food, I'm allergic to this, or perhaps it's something different. It could even be certain medications. What side effects are these having? And this could be influencing, let's say, the health of your thyroid, because the second house where Pluto is rules over the thyroid. All right. So if you have been struggling with weight gain or weight loss, you may get to the root cause of what that is. So that's enough on the Pluto retrograde, guys. Moving along, on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees, and this is taking place in your 10th house. So the 10th house is about career, our public persona, public profile, our legacy, our even major changes to government status, professional status, relationship status. These are reflected in the 10th house. So new moons are all about planting new seeds, setting new intentions, wanting to evolve in some way, shape, or form from where we are or how things are into something else. This new moon will be opposite Saturn in Pisces at 16 degrees, which is in your 4th house, and it's also squaring Jupiter and Gemini at 20 degrees in your 7th house. So we have this T-square. We've got Jupiter squaring the new moon and Saturn, which can create tension, and Jupiter is your ruling planet. So when I say tension, just remember Jupiter is a planet which is all about blessings, abundance, growth, expansion, travel, exploring new things, adventure, and so on and so forth. So to have this new moon in the 10th house, it indicates to me that there is a real solid reason or goal or push or motivating factor that comes from outside of you because of the 7th house influence, and it's pushing you to want to excel in your career, advance your professional status, attain a promotion, or it could be the other side of that. I've worked really hard. My partner wants to spend more time with me. I want to take a sabbatical. I want to take time off. I want to go travel. I want to retire maybe, or just change industry altogether, or just work less hours in a lesser capacity. So the square to Jupiter can either load up your plate or it can give you freedom. But the square is like maybe premature in your view, right? Like, oh, yeah, I wanted this, not yet though. Or like, this is happening too quick, or this is happening sooner than I thought, and so on and so forth. So it could be an opportunity that you need to really, hold on to tight and pursue And for others of you, even if it's not work stuff, this could be like, okay, starting a family, I'm becoming a parent. I want to take my relationship to the next level. And even if, it may not be that there's pressure from your partner, but other people might be like, oh, are you sure you're ready for that? Or what's prompted this change? Or maybe the relationship change, or even just changes to like a business arrangement or partnership or collaboration are fueled by other pressures from different areas in your life. Now, lastly, with that one, the new moon effects can be felt 2 weeks before and up to 2 weeks after the new moon. So, even though the new moon's on the 3rd of September, this could be playing out in your life, or let's say until the 17th of September. Not that you're like completely done after that. It's just the seeds are being planted during that time. Also on the 3rd of September, Mars in Gemini in your 7th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 4th house at 28 degrees. So, given that these are mutable signs, you're being squared and opposed. So the Sagittarians who are going to feel this the most will be those between about 23 to 29 degrees Sagittarius. Full points if you are a 28 degree Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising. Now, this is highlighting your family life, property, living circumstances, parents, children who you live with, anything to do with your living circumstances, really. And then the 7th house, which could be contracts, business relationships, your spouse, your significant other, maybe even your second-born child. This square can indicate miscommunications with family members, miscommunication with parents, siblings, grandparents, housemates, tenants, landlord, etc. Anything to do with whom you live with or who's in your family. Confusion when it comes to maybe when leases were meant to end, start, security bond, etc. Ultimately, you may find that your patience is tested, or someone in your family is getting angry easily or triggered easily. And ultimately, there is some disconnect here between emotions, maybe even like an emotional overreaction, and let's say logic. Okay, so Mars in Gemini, it's very logical, very rational. And so, you may find that one of you is approaching, and I'm not saying who it is, right? It just depends, especially like you might have Gemini in your chart, or you might have Pisces in your chart, which will influence how it plays out. But the point is, if you, if you find yourself at odds with another person, one of you is approaching this hyper emotionally, and the other one is approaching this hyper objectively or rationally, and you need to meet in the middle. There needs to be a middle path. So if you're being really emotional, maybe you need to dial that down and introduce some logic in the situation. But if you're like, no, like you said this, like logically or rationally, then you need to approach this person with more empathy and compassion. Moving along though, on the 4th/5th of September, depending where you live in the world, Mars is going to enter the sign of Cancer, which means it's going to be transiting your 8th house. Take note, what's happening for you in September? What are you pursuing? What's coming up for you in a big way? Especially if it's related to taxes, mutual resources, inheritances, anything to do with the occult and esotericism, Jesus. And healing and transformation. Why? Mars is going to retrograde in Leo and then Cancer over the Christmas break. So we're looking at December, January, February of 2025. So December 2024, January, February 2025. So whatever is coming up for you in September after Mars enters Cancer, these themes will be revisited over the Christmas break. Mars is at home in the 8th house. It likes to be there. It's comfortable there. It knows what it's doing. And that's because the 8th house is associated with Scorpio, and therefore Mars, because Mars rules over Scorpio. So Mars in the 8th house indicates that you may be wanting to combine your mutual resources with another person, or separating your resources with another person. And ¿por qué no los dos? For some of you, you may be doing that with one person and doing the other with someone else. You may be drawing up a will. You may be working with a financial planner. You may be doing a deep dive into certain occult topics, esoteric topics, forbidden topics, theories, etc. And you could be working on really transforming yourself and healing and overcoming some kind of, let's say, emotional blockage. You could be working on your sexual intimacy, emotional intimacy, and being vulnerable with other people. Given that Mars rules over your 5th house and it rules over sex, and the 8th house is associated with sex, there could be a very big focus on your sex life, whether that's with your significant other or starting up a new sexual relationship. Moving along, on the 18th of September, moon eclipse in Pisces, and this will be at 25 degrees in your 4th house. So the eclipse is squaring you. The Sagittarians who will be the most affected will be those who are between 20 and 29 degrees, rising sun and moon. Full bingo card if you are 25 degrees Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising. With the full moon eclipse taking place in your 4th house, congratulations. Something is coming to completion. Something is coming to fruition. Something is finished, done and dusted. And bada bing, bada boom, you've got an award from it. And when I say award, I mean reward, because it's with the North Node, which is giving you something. It's delivering you something for your hard work. Again, the 4th house is related to your family life. So children, parents, ancestry, lineage, but it also rules over anyone that you live with as well. So some of you may be finding out that you're starting a family, getting pregnant, maybe your significant other is getting pregnant, maybe you're expanding your family further, and this could even be welcoming grandchildren into the fold, or a new grandchild. On a different note, this can indicate the buying of a property, the selling of a property, relocating elsewhere, or getting tenants in, or maybe you've had some really difficult tenants and you have had to evict them, and maybe that has been quite a journey to have that finally let's say come off or come to fruition. With this full moon eclipse, there is divine support and divine help, and I say that because the full moon eclipse is conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees, and it is sextile Uranus at 27 degrees Taurus. And on the other end of that, it is sextile Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. So like I said, there's a lot of divine support, divine protection, which is coming through with this eclipse. I don't want to sugarcoat eclipses. Sometimes they're often they're chaotic in nature. A lot of unexpected things can happen, life-changing, life-altering, things we didn't plan for, things that we didn't expect. But with this particular eclipse, whatever happens, it's divinely inspired. There is some kind of silver lining. There's some kind of physical, tangible benefit that will eventually make itself known to you. And, there may be, let's say, timing issues that you may class them as issues, or be like, oh, I wanted this to happen, but it's too early, it's too late, or it's just not on my watch, not on my clock. If I could have done things differently, that would have happened at this time. But the universe is like, no, it's happening now. And eventually you'll be like, okay, that was for the best. So like I said, something is reaching its peak with respect to your family life and or your property and living circumstances. And for some of you, this can just be overcoming some emotional blockage or some kind of childhood trauma that you had experienced, which had just, been really, really hard for you to, let's say, digest or heal from, or even seek help for. And maybe with this eclipse, you finally feel ready to walk that path. So Sagittarius, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in my October video where I'll be discussing the new moon eclipse in Libra. But without further ado, let's move on to Capricorn. So this is for Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Risings. On the 1st or the 2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Uranus will station retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 5th house. So it will be trining you. The Capricorns who will feel this the most will be those between about 23, maybe 24 to 29 degrees Capricorn. And ultimately, the 5th house rules over children, love, romance. It also rules over creative hobbies, passions, and owning one's own business. So first of all, Uranus stations retrograde once every year for about 5.5 months. Not really a big deal, but it's trining you, which is nice. So this can indicate having a creative breakthrough. This can indicate solving or understanding what needs to be done to solve some kind of issue with respect to your business, if you own your own business. On a different note, this can indicate opening the lines of communication back up with your child, one of your children. And for others of you, this can indicate that you are returning to some kind of creative hobby or passion of yours, or you're deciding to hone these skills further. On the 2nd of September, Pluto will retrograde from Aquarius back into Capricorn. So this is the heavy hitter one, especially for Capricorns, for the next, nearly 3 months. So Pluto will be in Capricorn from the 2nd of September till the 19th or 20th of November, depending where you live in the world. And then it'll be done forever for another 250-ish years. So from, let's say, late November, Pluto will be in Aquarius and it'll be there for like 22 years. And as a Capricorn Sun, Moon or Rising, this is the last push, the last challenge, the last time you will be dealing with certain self-limiting beliefs or potential creative blockages or even career obstacles and blockages. It really depends if you're a Capricorn rising, sun or moon. Even if you're not, at around 29 degrees or 25 to 29 degrees, this is still really, really major for Capricorns, because since 2008, things have been hard for Capricorns. They just have. I'd be very curious to know if you're a Capricorn and there haven't been some significant difficulties since then. Feel free to let me know in the comment section or in the chat. But for the most part, it's been no picnic for Capricorns. So basically, this is the next almost 3 months is about you redefining your path in life, the career trajectory that you're on, the relationships that you're in, how you present to the world. And this can be in terms of physical appearance, your aura, the first impression that you make on other people. Maybe you're looking at overcoming certain tendencies or proclivities that you have. And for a lot of Capricorns, you're going to be finally overcoming, let's say, relationship difficulties, because don't forget, Pluto in your first house is opposing the 7th house. So kind of like Cancer, this can indicate a time where you're really having to get down to the root cause of relationship difficulties. Now, this could be within your marriage, this could be with your spouse or your significant other. For others of you, if you've been single, this can indicate that you are deciding that you want to approach relationships differently. You want to approach love and romance differently. Maybe you're deciding to walk away during this time from a marriage or from a significant relationship. But for others of you, if things have been rocky with the person that you're with, this can see the two of you really fighting for this relationship, really fighting to overcome whatever has been keeping the two of you apart or at loggerheads. And for some of you, this can be other people who are meddling in your relationship. This can see you understanding, okay, this person's trying to poison the well. This person has been in my ear or in your partner's ear and saying, untruths or mistruths, which have been, meaning that the two of you are not like coming together. But on a different note, Pluto rules over your 11th house, which is your long-term goals and your long-term projects. And so maybe this is about you and your significant other getting aligned about what you should be working on, the two of you. On a different note, this can indicate that you just, relationship aside, are realizing what you need to do and what changes you need to make in order to attain the life that you desire. And I say that because, again, Pluto rules the 11th house. This is your long-term goals and dreams. This is also friendships, community, and your sense of moral justice as well. So Pluto retrograde in your first house may be asking you to reassess your friendship groups, reassess your communities that you're part of. Do I want to be friends with this person? Yeah, I've been friends with them for a long time, but that doesn't mean that it has to be a forever thing if I'm being mistreated. And on a different note, this can see you doing some significant work for your chosen community. This is like legacy building stuff. So you could be fighting one last time to achieve a certain objective or agenda of yours. In any case, I would say 2nd of September and certainly 19th, 20th of November, allow yourself time to rest, allow yourself time to decompress, allow yourself time to move through heavy emotions that are hard to shift. And especially, as we approach November 19th, 20th, and certainly on those days, because that's when the shadow side of Pluto will just be clawing, to get one last hook in. So after that, the battle's won, the challenge is over, Pluto's in Aquarius, and again, you'll never experience another transit like this in your lifetime. On the 3rd of November, there will be a new moon in Virgo at 11 degrees, and it's in your 9th house. The 9th house is associated with our belief systems, whether these are religious, spiritual, political, how you think the world works, and all the rest of it. And the 9th house also rules over travel and education and the law. So this new moon in your 9th house, which is trining you as a Capricorn, especially those between about 16 degrees to 26 degrees, new that is happening in this area or this part of your life. So you may be planning a trip, you may be intending to study something new, sign up for a program, education program. Maybe you are looking at becoming an educator or a teacher in some capacity. You may be purchasing tickets for an overseas trip or even an interstate trip. 9th house is associated with interstate travel. I didn't used to think that until I saw it all over my chart when I was moving interstate. I digress. A new moon in the 9th house can indicate that you may embark on some kind of religious pursuit or spiritual pursuit. I dare say a pilgrimage may be on the cards for you. And ultimately, it's a time of reinstating positive beliefs in your connection to what you would consider to be source or divinity, or your concept of God, whatever you give, whatever name you give that God. So with new moons, we can feel the energy like 2 weeks before and up to 2 weeks after the new moon has passed. So this energy will be with you till about the 17th of September. Now, on the 3rd of November, I keep saying the 3rd of November. On the 3rd of September, Mars in Gemini in your 6th house is going to square Neptune in Pisces in your 3rd house. Not our favorite transit to see, but whatever. It only happens every 9 or 10 months. Basically, the 3rd house is Gemini energy anyway. But Neptune here in the 3rd house can indicate that your emotions are clouding your judgment. Okay, so it could be emotions, it could be hormones, it could just be like getting triggered quite easily. On a different note, this can indicate that you may read something, like consume some sort of media that you find to be disturbing or upsetting, and this can really throw you off, emotionally speaking. With the square to Mars in Gemini in the 6th house, this can have a negative impact on your health. Okay, so hey, it's a 1-day transit. Yeah, you may feel the effects like 2 or 3 days before to 2 or 3 days after, but just be mindful that you are susceptible around this time to being influenced by other people, by the information that you consume, the things that you watch online, the things that you listen to on YouTube. So you may want to really take control and take ownership of, what it is that you are directing your energy and attention to around this time. And for others of you, there could just be confusion, a bit of a miscommunication with a co-worker, with a client, or with an employee. And let's move on, guys. On the 4th or 5th of September, depending where you live in the world, Mars will enter the sign of Cancer, which means it will be entering your 7th house. When Mars goes into the 7th house, this can indicate a time where tensions may be running higher with one's significant other or spouse, or even just like business partner relationships and clients. Because Mars is in Mars is in your 7th house, which is their 7th house. This indicates that it's your partner who is maybe a little less patient, a little more testy, or more easily riled and agitated, agitated or triggered easily. On a different note, this can indicate that your significant other is just more goal-oriented. They're more focused on their fitness, their health, their, keeping active and whatnot. To have Mars transit the 7th house, and also Mars will be going retrograde in Leo and Cancer over December, January, February. This can indicate that you may be entering into a new collaboration with another person, doing an important deal with a client, working with a business partner, and maybe the work that you're doing will span several months. So this could be a really long-term, or like not really long-term, but a multi-month project or initiative that you are taking up. And by the way, this could just be like a contract that you are entering into, especially if you do freelance work or contract work. On a different note, this could indicate that you're going into business with your significant other. And lastly, with this one, you may decide that you want to take someone to court, or you could just be having a stern word with another person. So again, this is around the 4th, 5th of September, but these themes can be with you for the next few months. On the 18th of September, So this is lastly for this horoscope, there will be a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees, and this will be in your third house. So the third house is associated with, lots of things, but communications, writing projects, working in small groups, teams, friends. It's also associated with short-term education, as well as things like apprenticeships, qualifications, certifications, and diplomas, etc., etc. So a full moon eclipse, also known as a lunar eclipse, is all about something reaching its peak, something reaching a conclusion. So you're finishing something off, or maybe the hardest part of it is over, or the most intense part of it, happens around the time of the eclipse. It is with the North Node, which means it's delivering something new to you, or it's delivering you something physical or tangible at the end. So you could be finishing a short-term education course around this time. Maybe you're receiving an apprenticeship, receiving your diploma, receiving a certification, or you're being accepted into a program after a period of, a stringent application process, potentially. On a different note, this may be, this could indicate that you yourself have been teaching, or you've put out some kind of course material and now it's coming to its conclusion, or some kind of peak moment. On a different note, this could be, let's say, locking in an important sale deal with a client. Others of you may be finishing off like website design, launching a new product. I wouldn't be surprised if important conversations are coming up, maybe with a sibling, maybe with an extended relative, a friend, or a co-worker, just because the full moon eclipse is taking place in your third house. And just a note on the eclipse, guys, it actually has very supportive energy to it. And I say that because the eclipse is conjunct Neptune, and so the moon and Neptune are sextile Uranus in Taurus, as well as sextile Pluto in Capricorn. So this is providing very harmonious energy from these three outer planets, the slowest moving planets, which are associated with our connection to divinity. And ultimately, there's a lot of celestial support here, and a lot of divine protection at play with this full moon eclipse in your third house. So Capricorn, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'll be back with my October horoscopes next month. Super exciting. We've got the new moon eclipse in Libra, which will be in your 10th house. So huge mover and shaker month when it comes to your career, and when it comes to professional relationship status changes, as well as romantic relationship status changes. So if you want to stay tuned, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much again, Capricorn. And now I'm going to move on to Aquarius. Aquarius sun, moon, and risings on the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world. Retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 4th house. So it is squaring you. The Aquarians who would feel this the most would be those between about 23, maybe 24 to 29 degrees. Aquarius, in any case, just know that we experience this transit once a year-ish. And Uranus is retrograde for about 5 to 5 months every year. So not really a big deal, but worth mentioning because it's happening pretty much now, very, very soon, as I'm recording this live. So with Uranus retrograde in the 4th house, this can indicate that there are significant shifts happening when it comes to your property and living circumstances, family matters, your relationship with your parents, your children, grandparents, or anyone that you live with. And by the way, it doesn't mean that, boom, as soon as the transit hits, that these themes come through for you, but maybe there is awareness that something needs to change with your family dynamics, or that something needs to change on the property and living circumstances front. And because Uranus is now going retrograde, there is some kind of awareness of this, or maybe there was discussion about this previously, maybe a few months ago, and now you're looking to enact change. And perhaps some of you are just coming up with creative solutions to difficult problems with respect to these themes. On the 2nd of September, Pluto will retrograde from Aquarius, which is your sign, back into Capricorn in your 12th house. And it will be it will be in Capricorn until the 19th/20th of September, depending where you live in the world, at which point it will go back into Aquarius, and then it's with you for another 22 years. So ultimately, with Pluto spending nearly 3 months back in your 12th house, there are going to be certain self-sabotaging behaviors or self-limiting belief systems that are coming up for review for you in a really big way. And this will impact how you perceive your potential when it comes to career success. And I say that because Pluto rules over your 10th house. So during this time, you may be breaking through self-limiting belief systems. Okay, so on a different note, this transit, let's say, will provide you with an opportunity to overcome certain addictions once and for all. For those of you who may have been struggling with that, even if you had overcome an addiction previously, whether that was months ago or years ago, I would say just be mindful that Pluto retrograde in your 12th house may be testing you one last time. So with Pluto retrograde in your 12th house, this can be a time where you're overcoming subconscious, deep-seated fears. This can be a time where you are healing things on a really deep subconscious level. And some of you may be working with, let's say, Reiki practitioners, or seeing someone who can do a past life regression for you. And others of you may be doing your own deep dive into occultism or esotericism and finding your answers there. Now, Aquarius, on the 3rd of November, there will be a new moon in Virgo, and this will be at 11 degrees in your 8th house. So new moons are all about planting new seeds, setting new intentions, and, let's say coming up with the blueprint or the template for goals and new objectives that we want to achieve. So a new moon in the 8th house can indicate that you may be working towards combining your mutual resources with another person. You may be looking at a way to increase your investment portfolio or diversify your assets and your investment portfolio. On a different note, you may be drawing up wills and inheritances, working with financial planners. And for others of you, you may be looking to, let's say, study something to do with the occult in more detail. Maybe you're taking an online course, especially because the new moon is at 11 degrees, which is the Aquarius degree. So maybe you're doing an astrology course, or you're, trying to learn how to read the tarot, or, anything to do with that realm. Bear with me, guys. There's just, looks like my mic is sort of playing up a little bit. Anyway, so you could be looking at creating more emotional intimacy with your significant other, working on, let's say, becoming more vulnerable, or perhaps just exploring a different aspect or facet of your sex life. Now, on the 3rd of September, we're going to have Mars in Gemini in your 5th house, squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 2nd house at 28 degrees. So Mars is trining you. Neptune's not making a major aspect. Nevertheless, Neptune rules over our intuition, emotions, as well as hormones, substances, and medication. And Gemini rules over our thoughts, it rules over the mind and our communication style. So with having Mars square Neptune, it's basically indicative of there being some kind of disconnect or friction between these two areas. So you may feel as though you are being pulled in two different directions. On one hand, your heart may be saying one thing and your mind is saying another thing, I mean to say. So perhaps you feel like, you should be forgiving this person, you should be able to move on, you should be able to overcome this grievance with another person, but then, in your mind, you're just like replaying everything that they're saying, or every time you think of them, or this conversation replays in your head, you just get angry all over again. On a different note, the 2nd house rules over finances and resources, and the 5th house rules over creativity, children, and our love life. So you could feel pulled in two different directions with respect to your finances and resources, and how much money or how much of this you're able to spend on your children or spend on your dating life, or you may just feel like you're not getting enough of something, not getting enough fun, having enough fun, not going on enough dates. And again, it's just a one-day transit. Yes, you may feel it 2 or 3 days before and 2 or 3 days after, but it's just something to be mindful of. Mars in Cancer will be transiting your 6th house from the 4th/5th of September, depending where you live in the world. And it's important to note what is coming up for you once Mars does enter the sign of Cancer, and that is because we're going to have a Mars retrograde in Leo/Cancer over the Christmas break and early into the new year, so December 2024 and then January and February 2025. Mars likes to be in doesn't like to be in Cancer. I have Mars in Cancer, but it does like to be in the 6th house, because the 6th house is related to problems, conflicts, and issues that need to be resolved. And Mars is a warrior, Mars is a fighter, so Mars actually does well in the 6th house when it comes to overcoming problems and issues. The 6th house is related to your health, so many of you Aquarians will be focused on your health, getting fit, getting healthy, overcoming certain health concerns or issues or ailments. On a different note, the 6th house rules over our daily habits and routines. So this is actually a fantastic transit for implementing new routines and doing away with bad habits or old ways of being and routines that just no longer serve you anymore, or maybe they were never serving you anymore. The 6th house is very much related to, it is our work house in astrology. Yes, the 10th house is career, but the 6th house is the daily work that we do. So Mars in the 6th house indicates a very productive time with respect to your work. There may be quite a few challenges that come up with work, and they don't need to be quote unquote difficult or negative. It could just be like you're finally getting challenged in your work, you're finally sinking your teeth into a project that appeals to you and that gets you firing on all cylinders. The 6th house rules over employees, so one of the not so great outcomes of this transit could be disagreements or fighting with employees. you could find that they are just arcing up, rebelling, or just really challenging you. On a different note, maybe you've never had employees before, maybe you've never had someone work for you before, and it could just be that you're finding it difficult to delegate, especially because Mars rules over the 3rd house, which is like contracts, and then it rules over the 10th house for you, which would be, no, sorry, I beg your pardon. Oh no, it does. Yeah. Your 10th house is Scorpio. So that's like your career and your professional status. So maybe there is a bit of a push and pull where you know you need to offload some of your work to other people, but you're like, no, I only trust myself to do this important task. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 18th of September, there will be a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees, and this will be in your 2nd house. So the 2nd house is associated with our finances, our resources, salary, income, as well as our possessions and resources and personal set of values. So to have a full moon eclipse in the 2nd house could indicate that you are receiving an increase in your salary. Maybe you're selling off a possession or valuable and collecting, whatever you're charging for it. So that could be like a lump sum of money that's coming in. You could procure a certain valuable or resource or possession. On a different note, the 2nd house is associated with our diet. So you could be coming to the end of a diet or a eating plan that you have been following. On a different note, but still on the food front, it could be that you are deciding or realizing that you're going to have to cut something out of your diet in a permanent or perhaps semi-permanent way. Okay, with full moon eclipses or lunar eclipses, it's about something reaching its peak or reaching some kind of conclusion. But because this eclipse is with the North Node in Aries, it's delivering you something. You're receiving something tangible as a result. So some of you may have found a way to, let's say, generate a higher stream of income or a new stream of income. I think I might have said something to that effect, but in any case, mentioning it in case I didn't. And also it's worth noting that this full moon eclipse has a lot of support from the outer planets. It's conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees, and the moon and Neptune in Pisces are sextiling both Uranus in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn, and of course Pluto and Uranus are trining each other. So, we're looking at a lot of water and earth being with this eclipse. So it's about our resources, finances, grounding something in the tangible, and doing the emotional work to support that. And ultimately, whatever is happening around the 18th of September, plus or minus a month, it's divinely inspired, it's divinely protected. It may not be on your clock. Maybe whatever is happening, you wouldn't have chosen for this to happen now, but whatever the case, it's presenting some kind of silver lining or some kind of blessing, which will be more obvious to you in probably the next 2 or 3 months. And so Aquarius, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'll be back for for next month with my October 2024 horoscopes, where I'll be looking at our second eclipse, which is in Libra, which is trining you. We love an eclipse that trines our sign, so that'll be really exciting for you Aquarius sun, moon and risings. So take care, and now I'm going to move on to Pisces. Pisces sun, moon and risings. Thank you so much for your patience being the last sign, and but not least. So Pisces on the 1st/2nd of September, depending where you live in the world, Uranus is going to station retrograde in Taurus in your 3rd house, and it will be sextiling you. So the Pisceans who will feel it the most, feel the sextile the most, will be those around 23 up to 29 degrees Pisces. And ultimately, Uranus does go retrograde every year for about 5 months, 5.5 months. And when it goes retrograde, sort of on the day plus or minus 1 or 2 days, we can have hiccups with technology, which I just experienced myself. And also we can have downloads of information that come through, especially with respect to things we'd already tried to work out consciously, whether this is like something to do with content that you want to create. Maybe this is a certain communications piece that you're working on. Maybe there's something important that you have to say to another person and you haven't really known how to communicate this or how to express yourself. Uranus retrograding or stationing retrograde in the 3rd house of communications at the Gemini degree of 27 degrees can give you the answers that you're seeking, where you have an aha moment and you're like, okay, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to change. I know in what ways I need to pivot. And because it's sextiling you, maybe there's communication that comes in from another person, which has a very positive impact on you, a very healing impact on you, especially because Uranus rules over your 12th house. So it could be an unexpected conversation that you have, or even content or material that you read the first few days of September, which benefits you in some way, shape, or form. On the 2nd of September, Pluto will retrograde from Aquarius back into Capricorn in your 11th house. So this will be its last foray into Capricorn for the rest of your life, because it'll be another almost 250 years until Pluto returns to the sign of Capricorn. It will remain at that 29 degree. It won't go to 28, won't go to 27 degrees. It will remain at that critical, hectic, anoretic degree. But fortunately for you guys, this is sextiling you as well. So lucky you get this double sextile back-to-back days. And basically the Pisceans who will feel the sextile the most would be those from about 27 to 29 degrees, maybe 26 to 29 degrees. In any case, the 11th house is related to our long-term goals and dreams, our plans for the future, passive forms of income, awards, rewards, accolades, and the 11th house is also the house of friendship, and it rules over communities. So Pluto retrograde in the 11th house indicates that there is some, let's say, there's like a crucial time in one or more of your friendships, or it could be with respect to the community that you find yourself in or the communities that you participate in. So on one hand, some of you may have walked away from a friendship or walked away from a community, and you thought that, it was done good and proper. You're not looking back. You're not ever going back. But, you're having to review this decision. Some of you may walk it back and give a friend another chance, give a community another chance. But for others of you, you may be like, no, I'm being tested with this, and I've been friends with this person too long and been too burned. I'm not gonna re-enter this. I'm not gonna put myself through that again. For others of you, Pisceans, this can see you working on that last leg of, nearly completing a long-term goal of yours. And maybe this has been months, years in the making, maybe even since 2008, and it's 333 right now, my clock as I say that, 3:33 p.m. in the afternoon. So triple angel number. Anyway, I digress. Many of you Pisceans will be completing some kind of project, milestone, maybe finally receiving an award or some recognition for something important that you have been wanting to call in or that you have been expecting. For others of you, you may be receiving a payout from some kind of legal dispute, legal matter, or court case, especially because Pluto rules over your 9th house, which rules over legal matters. So others of you may actually be receiving financial support in the way of a scholarship or a government grant, or maybe a PhD program that you're doing is being government subsidized. All right, so it's a big deal, Pluto going back into Capricorn for this last little bit, because we're closing out a major chapter. And after we get out the other side of this, so post 19th/20th of November, you can look back and go, okay, this was a significant, poignant moment in my life. And now I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready for my next big goal. I'm ready to take on this PhD. I'm ready to, work on generating a passive form of income, or join a new community, or, look further afield when it comes to expanding your network or your group of friends. Now, on the 3rd of September, there will be a new moon in Virgo. This will be at 11 degrees in your 7th house. So the 7th house rules over partnerships of all kinds. So romantic partnerships, your spouse, significant other, as well as business partnerships, business clients, and even your one-to-one personal friendships too. So new moons are always about a new chapter taking place, planting the seed for something new, and starting a new project. In some cases, given that it's in your 7th house, this can be indicative of entering into a new relationship for some of you, taking your existing relationship to the next level, maybe becoming more exclusive, getting engaged, getting married, making a really important decision with your significant other. Even if it's not you and them making plans together, it could be that there's a new chapter starting in their life, which is very important somehow. Some of you may be signing new contracts. This could be for work, freelance stuff, business agreements, entering into a business partnership, especially because this new moon will be opposing Saturn at 16 degrees Pisces and making a T-square with Jupiter and Gemini. And Jupiter is in your 4th house. But why this is relevant when it comes to work and career is because of the opposition to Saturn. Okay, so there could be some kind of work contract at play here, or you and your partner could be talking about moving in together, starting a family, introducing each other to each other's families. That's another way that could be playing out. And professionally speaking, you could be enlisting the services of another person, or you could be offering some kind of professional service. Now, also on the 3rd of September, there will be we will have Mars in Gemini in your 4th house, squaring Neptune in Pisces in your 1st house at 28 degrees. So, Neptune is one of your ruling planets. When it squares Mars, we can have trouble expressing our emotions in a reasonable way. So things might come out a bit left of center. Just be mindful that this is a time for unfortunate verbal outbursts, finding yourself to be triggered very easily. I would be mindful of not sending texts or making calls or having conversations, especially with family members or flatmates that you may regret. And I say that because Mars is in the 4th house, which is family. And so, Neptune is in your 1st house. So it's like a disconnect between emotions and what's being expressed in terms of a conversation or a communication. So if you have something important to say to someone, if it's possible and it's not going to affect anything in the grand scheme of things, you may want to defer that till after the 3rd of September, maybe like 6th, 7th of September, just getting away from that hard aspect. On a different note, this can just indicate on an internal level that you're not sure what you want to do with your property and living circumstances. Do I buy? Do I sell? Do I relocate? Do I want to move in with this person? Do I want this person to move in with me? Do I want to kick them out of my house? These could all be conversations that are swirling around in your mind. And obviously we just discussed with the new moon, which is happening the same day, that there is potentially talk of, moving in with another person, or just movement on that property and living front. So on the 4th/5th of September, Mars is going to enter the sign of Cancer, and it will be transiting your 5th house. Now, later on, Mars is going to retrograde in Leo and then Cancer. So that'll be December 2024 and then January, February 2025. Wow, feels weird to talk about 2025 already. But ultimately, whatever is coming up for you post 4th, 5th of September, you could be revisiting that. In fact, you will be revisiting that over the Christmas break and early into next year. Mars going through the 5th house indicates that there's a focus on 5th house themes: love, romance, sex, your business, if you own your own business, creative hobbies and talents and pursuits, as well as children. So Mars going through the 5th house for some of you can indicate that you're going on some hot dates, maybe spicing up your relationship with your significant other. Worst case scenario, disagreements with your significant other, not getting along. Mars in the 5th house on one hand can indicate, aiming to expand your family further. Maybe this is looking at conceiving a child, expanding a family. Again, the lower vibration of this is fighting with one of your children, or one of them just giving you a hard time, just rebelling, or maybe it's just like a developmental stage that they're going through. On a different note, some of you may be looking at new initiatives when it comes to owning your own business. So this could be starting a new business, developing it further, offering new products, offering new services, working really, really hard to scale it up or expand it. Especially because Mars rules over your 9th house, you could be looking at something to do with import and export. Mars rules over the 2nd house, which can indicate, something like a physical product that you're wanting to sell or incorporate into your business. And for others of you, you may be getting into playing sports or maybe dance, because the 5th house is competitive. It rules over sports, it rules over fun. So Mars in the 5th house can be dancing, playing competitive sports, or just, doing something for leisure that gets you physically moving and involves your physical body in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so lastly, Pisces, this is the last transit for the month that we're looking at. Well, not transit, it's an eclipse. So let's just get into it, right? On the 18th of September, there will be a full moon eclipse in Pisces, and this will be at 25 degrees in your 1st house. So, wow, we haven't had eclipses, eclipses in Pisces for about 9 years since the last time that the nodes are not in Pisces and Virgo yet, but they will be from January. So anyway, it's been years since we had a Pisces eclipse. And when we have an eclipse in our first house, it indicates huge changes coming through in terms of one's personal life, their demeanor, their aura, their life goals, their life perspectives, worldview, world perspectives. It can affect you with relation to career, relationships, family, property, living circumstances, the major life-changing stuff. Okay, so with this lunar eclipse, with this full moon eclipse, it is with the North Node. So the North Node is still in the sign of Aries. It's not in Pisces yet, but it's going to deliver you something physical, something tangible, and ultimately, with this eclipse in the first house, the Pisceans who will be the most impacted would be those between about 25 to 29 degrees. And if you are a Pisces sun, moon, or rising at 25 degrees, this eclipse is smack bang on your sun, moon, or rising. But there's beautiful, supportive, helpful, harmonious energy alongside this eclipse. Why? This eclipse is conjunct Neptune and it's sextile Pluto in Capricorn as well as sextile Uranus in Taurus. So the three slowest moving planets, the three outer planets, are all having a harmonious relationship with one another, which indicates divine support, divine protection, divine blessings that are coming through. So lunar eclipses and full moon eclipses are all about something reaching a conclusion, reaching its peak. So whatever's happening around the 18th of September, this has been in the making for you Pisceans for a while. You've been working on this for months, or it's been in your sphere of awareness for a few months. And now this full moon eclipse, it's like, okay, I'm ready to deliver on this. I'm ready for this next chapter of my life to begin. And how it plays out will differ depending on, of course, how this interacts with the rest of your chart. If you're a Pisces sun, especially if you're around 25 degrees, then this is to do with your career, your life purpose, maybe your vitality as well. Maybe you're achieving a career goal, career objective, attaining a promotion, or there's some kind of lucrative business opportunity at play. On a different note, maybe you're just looking and feeling more like the person you always wanted to be. Okay, so you could have been working on your physical health in some way, shape, or form, and now you're able to physically see the results. Or perhaps working on your physical health means that you now feel within yourself that you have more confidence, more vitality, or you can just feel that you are stronger. On a different note, if you are a Pisces moon, this eclipse can indicate getting pregnant. This eclipse can indicate giving birth, or perhaps having an important relationship status change with another person. If you're a Pisces moon, you may be relocating, buying, selling, receiving some kind of visa or permanent residency or citizenship. And if you're a Pisces rising, first of all, like I said, it is in your first house, but it can affect you in all different ways, especially because an eclipse in the first house is going to oppose your 7th house of partnerships and relationships, but it's going to square your 10th house, which is career and, public persona. And then it's going to square your 4th house, which is family, property, and living circumstances. So, to be fair, a Pisces rising, generally speaking, would be the most affected over a sun or moon. But of course, if your sun or moon is around 25 degrees, you're going to feel it. And this is why I recommend that you watch not just your rising sign, but your sun and moon as well. Okay, Pisces, that's all I have for you for September 2024. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'll be back with my October 2024 horoscopes if you want to tune in for those. Thank you so much for watching, and a big thank you to everyone who supported me in the live stream today.